Why was my fucking mic muted? Oh no. Okay, it's working. It wasn't muted. It showed it as unmuted the whole time. Oh, spoilies. What the hell is this? Get it out of my face.
More area before we go to the final area, and that would be Fazbear Blast. Is it saying something? Are you talking to me? More area before we go. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Oh,
What's the sword?
this is the end.
It's the Cassidy sword.
The final room. Holy.
I don't remember this.
Is that Vanny? Vanny's room. Okay. This is very interesting to be in here again. After everything. Obviously, this is where she stayed.
Why'd she have a Toy Chica plush?
And that's blocked off. Okay.
Lesbian confirmed.
Okay. So let's go ahead and head down.
Lesbian fur confirmed.
So, a lot of people always discuss, like, is the good ending the real ending, or is the ending where it all burns down the canon ending? And I would say where it all burns down is the canon ending, because a good ending doesn't necessarily mean that's what happened. That's just a good ending for people that like. So I don't think anybody ever escaped. I think everybody is down here. Their brains are also in here.
That security notes all the way down there.
As far as like being transferred into code, so it can live in its own consciousness in a robot body.
What is bro talking about this time? I mean, this is the same man who theorized that Deltarune is Kara in Purgatory, so I'm not really surprised, but...
What? Don't like Freddy crossed out? Well, this is not good. I'm sure we'll be fine. Freddy's a friend. He doesn't see you.
I kind of do remember the sword.
Don't work. Do I really have to go down here? Okay.
Well, nothing significant happened with it.
Through a portal. And we got two. It's on. The freak one. Oh god, oh dear.
Alright, this is an important moment. What the hell was up with this? Why did nothing happen with it?
Dude, my stamina! My stamina! My stamina! No, I got stuck! I got stuck! I'm trying! No, I'm stuck again. I'm still... Just jump, run. Oh, he's like right behind me. Where am I supposed to be going? Where am I supposed... Did I get away? Did I get away? Holy...
This should have been the ending. This was way bigger deal than the stupid mimic.
Yeah, you want me to race to that? Okay. Oh, and you're gone.
That don't make no damn sense.
Very...
Mask is stupid.
Very interesting, because he can't see you. His AI is completely programmed to not see me. His body, at least. Will you freaks leave me alone, okay? I don't want to hear your clapping anymore. Go. Oh, my stamina. You know, I have infinite flashlight, but not infinite stamina here. Come on. Oh, the first vent didn't collapse. Great. I'm still... Oh, God. Okay, it's not over yet. Not over. Yeah, I think he stopped chasing, though. I think we can breathe. Did we do? We're loading. Did we do all the notes? I think we've done everything. That probably...
This is where you murder Roxy.
Your special day. I remember. Cassie. What are you doing?
Oh no! is not what I want to do.
Murder.
This is not.
Sorry, I love candy.
Happy birthday.
Fox, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You fuck. Of course, it's a pedophile game. Get your
I
underage
did not
outside
want
of here.
that to happen. Roxy. Yeah, so Roxy's dead. Unfortunate. That's... Cassie, how can you not recognize the voice of Gregory is completely changing? Oh, here we go. Well done. That was the last security note. I have located the source of your friend's radio signal. It is coming from under the raceway. Did you see Helpy's face right there? Warning, you're now leaving venue. Yes. Though. Right? Oh, God. Okay.
Are you crying again? I forget.
Super brave. Side.
Why does bitch crying?
All destroyed immediately. The pathway there, okay? This broke open. You can usually see this on the side.
I don't know why this bitch crying.
No, no, no.
Alright, cause no flashlight, cause you a little
Stupid
bitch.
flashlights?
How this dumbass gonna go into
The
this
flashlight
pit of
works this
hell
entire time
and with the completely relying off of a
until
battery powered
the very
flashlight?
end. How convenient. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, so we're back at, I think this was Pizzeria
Like, you should
Simulator
be a
3,
brave person if you're gonna
What's
attempt some
happening under
stupid
here?
shit like this.
which is where William Afton allegedly died. A classic. A fast token. Let's
Wow.
collect another. Another fast
Oh yeah, this one was a really good moment.
everywhere.
But I already saw it.
Another fast token. Great. Okay.
I don't want to see Lynx's reaction
Not
for a
something
minute.
that's gonna jump scare us, right? Wow. Okay. Just want to make sure I see everywhere.
Come get your candy. I have candy. Now I will tell you a story about a mother and a little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods.
Yeah.
One monster in the woods started a fire caught in the cabin in the basement.
Okay. That's your story. There was a monster in the woods. They kept it in the basement. That makes me wonder if
Oh, yeah, that was it.
he tells more of a story if you like deactivate more requires item.
One told the
Oh,
boy
no.
to one evening because it could never get out. Then she would see the boy lullaby and sleep. One day, the monster stopped calling him instead.
Honestly, it's just cool to see Candy Kid in 3D.
So I'm thinking maybe the monster tricked the child into being the mother by singing the lullaby. We don't have any more fast tokens.
And then the mimic!
We'll play. Oh. Everybody. Or maybe the monster took control of the boy. Probably possessed the boy to become evil. Have evil plans in the future. Oh, we're here.
The mimic!
Interesting.
Okay, cut to it already. When the mimic coming? There it is.
You're not Gregory. Gregory, you okay?
Oh, God.
You saved me. You saved me. Gregory?
You freedom.
You're not Gregory. What are you?
The mimic!
Gregory. Get out of here! Run!
You just randomly laugh because yes.
Burn trap? Roxy's alive?
Nancy, can you hear me? Gregory, is that really you? I mean, really you?
No.
I've been trying to reach you all night. I'm not at the pizza place. Something's trying to trick you. You're a bit late. Staying in the basement sounds just like you. How do I know this is you for real? Is there another option? You need to get out of there now. How?
Yep, and then escape, and then elevator crashy, stinky, pee-pee.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, that's a fan. That's a freaking fan. Oh no, you gonna.
It's the fan galore.
Okay. Hi. Good. Bye. Okay.
It's me. I think I need to explain a few things. You were never supposed to go to the Pizzaplex. That thing in the sinkhole tricked you. I really don't know what it is, but it's been trapped down here a really long time. The Mex's security program was designed to keep it hidden, but you shut down the security.
You talk too slow.
It's not your fault. I know you did it for me, to save me, but we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
What do you mean elevator falls? What do you mean elevator falls?
Still don't know
Die.
why people think that the Mimic is Burnt Trap. I don't know. Because for one thing, the Mimic is way taller than Burnt Trap.
Crazy.
But for second thing, Burnt Trap has human teeth and flesh and other shit.
Cassie. Or another deal.
Like, let's take a big, nice look at this stupid ass's teeth. Oh, fuck. I just out pizzaed the Hut. I undid their ad. That is not the same teeth. Oh, so I didn't need to back it up that far. I have the Mimic right here, dumb shit. That is not the same teeth.
Hi.
It's one thing to have design inconsistencies throughout different games, but it's a whole other thing to have design inconsistency in the same fucking game where you can just copy paste the model and change it. Okay, that's the end of this one. Now for the actual shit.
Alright, so I've been playing through the entirety of this game, combing every single inch of it, making sure not to miss a single collectible or absolutely anything. And here we are at the end. There are some doors you can unlock throughout playing the game on the cameras that makes me believe that there are doors you can enter at the end here to maybe get some sort of good ending. So that's what we're going to try to do.
You better not have
They're
skipped
still
over any
locked.
shadow
Let's
bonding
head deeper.
shit.
Alright, let's do this.
Suddenly deep voice.
Obviously, I think this MXEX ES machine is pulling
Bye, Glitch Trap.
whoever that is
Bitch Trap.
into it.
Gregory! Gregory! You okay?
And now we can go deeper.
You saved me!
I don't know if anything's going to be
Gregory?
different from here on out, but I think those doors, wait,
That looks different already.
I think those doors will be open that were closed.
Who the hell is you?
This is different.
What the hell? hell is he wearing?
That is not the same guy. What?
I was just wearing some stupid ass costume. That didn't even look familiar.
Is that really you? I mean, really?
What?
I've been trying to reach you all
I've seen that ugly thing in the thumbnail.
I'm assuming the same, like, endoskeletons inside, right?
Yeah, but it has some dumbass costume.
This sounds just like you. How do I know this is you for real?
A springlock suit.
You need to get out of there now.
It's not a springlock suit.
My friend has access to the building now.
Okay.
Follow instructions.
Your friend, which I'm assuming is Freddy, still alive and perfect condition. The one we see earlier. What is that?
Seriously, who even
Alright,
knows?
you freak. Dude, the one we see earlier, the Freddy we see earlier is a prototype, not the real one. Okay, so we know right before we get to the elevator, there are a couple doors, and a few have been closed. I'm assuming those are the doors that we opened with the camera. Let's keep it going, right?
Yeah,
Let's keep
I
it
have
going,
no
right?
clue what the hell that thing's supposed to be.
Hello? Okay.
Looks pretty spooky though.
We're fine. We're totally fine. Okay.
And why does collecting
Come on.
more stuff make it change? That doesn't make sense.
And oh, that's blocked off.
It should have less stuff to put on if
This
you
one's new.
collect
These are
stuff.
the doors we opened. These are the
Okay,
doors we opened.
doors are open now.
What's in here? What's in? What is this? Dude, what is this? I'm trying to run. Oh God, what the frick?
It's so huge, what the fuck?
Press E? Where'd he go?
Scooper?
This is new.
What are you? What the hell are you? What the hell are
Press
you?
E? Where'd he go? This is new.
Just what the hell are you? Yeah, there's the scooper.
Yo!
No, wait, that's not the. Is it? Maybe?
The scooper from Sister Location.
It sure didn't look like it.
Sister Location?
It didn't scoop the same way.
Are we down in Sister Location?
What the hell just happened? That made no
Pizzeria
sense.
Simulator is above Sister Location. Pizzaplex is above that.
That made no damn
What
sense.
are the
This is just as stupid as the
implications
first ending.
We know there was a rival
I thought Afton got
Sister
clapped
Location.
by the scooper.
Pizzaplex is also made by a rival. It's not made by. Who knows? I don't know. That's a lot to think about. But that still is an animatronic wearing a different suit. Maybe because it was a Sister Location, and maybe that was even a previous attempt, whatever that suit was, by these same kind of boss leaders, whoever's making all of this. Maybe that was their first attempt, and then they realized we got to go directly after Freddy Fazbear because that stuff is popular. So they tried to copy and abandon whatever that suit was. I don't even know what that's.
Sister Location.
yeah,
Do you
that was,
know what a
the secret.
fucking sister location
Right.
is? It's not a
We're all doing that.
rival.
Kind of insane. Thank you all so much for watching.
That explained nothing. I still feel stupid.
Now get your favorite
Shut up.
classic hoagie for only $6.
Broken and Glamrock Bonnie. I never even got to see damn Rock Bonnie. This is an ending? I don't even know where the hell this is. Bonnie Bowl, probably. Yep. There he is. This isn't an ending, but okay. Is that it? Not gonna get up and say something? Give some exposition? Anything? This is no fucking ending. What is this called? Okay, all secrets unending. Okay, never mind. That's actually good. This is exactly the video I'm looking for. Cool. How? It was in Freddy. How the hell did it just teleport into this bathroom? There's the new voice box. That Chica plush looks so fucking stupid. It looks like Big Chungus. Makes sense. Minigames are always a big thing in FNAF. Pizza everywhere, bitch. Actually, I haven't checked if my audio is working. Okay, my audio is working. It just clipped. It just teleported into place. Why would this happen though? You just feel like sitting down at convenient time to
Am
put the.
I really doing this?
Shut your bitch ass up.
Ew.
You came here.
Gross. That should do it.
And what good did we do from this? What did that do? How did that help us? What is this? This is just hurting my ears. Still waiting on the caution sign jump scare. Just goes to show how the atmosphere can make something scary. Because nothing about what was actually in that room was scary. Do what?
I am a candy cadet. Come get your candy.
Okay, we've seen all this.
What is that? It's a camera. Yes, it is. Look out. It's Gregory.
That freaking
Hey!
animation.
She's wearing my mask.
Okay, bitch is just there. Pedo hair. Okay, I'm not sure what the point of that was. Fredbear ending. Shut your bitch ass up. I don't know about Fredbear. How is this Fredbear?
It's right behind you. Keep going.
I mean, maybe it was, but they sure redesigned again.
Hurry.
Oh my. Giving me an ad for the game I am watching. Oh, there it is. Oh wow, it actually is here. Okay.
Found a spot to hide.
I'm confused. Why the hell was Helpy there? How is this an ending? This doesn't make any damn sense. I mean, FNAF has never made sense, but I like that they use the daycare music as an ending theme. This isn't the fucking scooper. Shut your bitch ass up. It looks nothing like it. It's just an arm. It's a claw. I don't even see any scooping happening. Oh wait, he's not covered in stupid costume this time. I can hear a dumbass Discord notification going off. Oh wait, yeah, he is. What is that, seriously? Like, they could at least use the same sound effect if they wanted to make it obvious it was the scooper. That's always a good way to do it. That's it? So we're all just under the assumption that Afton is the mimic. Because I saw multiple videos that are like, oh, to get scooped. Yep, pretty much. Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. There's nothing else? What the hell even is that suit? It's so hideous. I need to see it in its full glory. This looks fake as shit.
PAA will help people. At Domino's, you can get.
Okay, you gonna show how the hell you got here?
Gregory! Gregory!
This was the beginning of the
You
game,
there?
dumbass.
I got your message. Gregory, are you there?
Oh wait, do you literally just exit? Or is this a glitch? This is a glitch. That was so obviously fake. The way that just cut. How exactly now? Is it just an short Easter egg?
Whatever, no matter what.
That was it?
Yeah, whatever, no matter what.
That's it? I thought there was like a big role in this game. It's not even real. Is it not even real? Why the fuck was there like a bunch of videos talking about it then? The fuck? This was really mediocre. I thought there was gonna be like this big ass conclusion with Afton and the Scooper and Baby and the Mimic and whatever the fuck else. And Shadow Bonnie. Well, time to look at Maphead's shit ass videos about it. Okay, where the hell did this end? Probably right here.
When hunger comes along,
Ah, shut up, bitch.
Doritos dip
Which means that I've only got today one
Okay,
final chance.
the
to
first
solve
one was a
security
bull.
once and for all before Ruin clarifies everything for us, or
Oh, wait,
just adds
no.
even more layers of confusion. That I've only got today. One final chance to solve security breach once and for all before Ruin clear. The day's finally here. Five Nights at Freddy's security breach Ruin has arrived after a year and a half in the making, which means that I've only got today. One final chance to solve security breach once and for all before Ruin clarifies everything for us, or just adds even more layers of confusion on top. So can I do it?
Okay, so this bitch literally tried to do what I do, except I do it in the middle of the stream. We tried to predict the entire plot when the game's already out and people already have the answers, so like skip. Pepsi.
Playing it, it really felt like Steel Wool learned from their mistakes. Gone is the open world that was
I don't
big,
care.
empty. Gone is the brightly lit neon environments that stopped being scary. And gone are the insane glitches that made the game impossible to fully complete. Oh, hey.
That's not true.
Oh, we are not where we were. This definitely feels like we skipped something. I think we broke the game. I think I broke the game for like the third time. Okay, maybe not all the glitches are gone. It just happened to be on my first playthrough. I managed to skip an entire chapter that was filled with the most lore. But hey, consider that my contribution to the speedrunning community. You can call that one the failed lore hunter skip in my honor. It'd be my crowning achievement in the world of gaming. Just to make sure that we're all starting on the same page. In the game, we play as a new character named Cassie, a young girl that's been called to Pizzaplex by her friend and my personal favorite, maybe definitely robot kid, Gregory. Gregory tells us through a Roxy talkie that he's trapped under the sinkhole in Roxy Raceway. One staff bot jump scare later, and we're handed a quote-unquote security mask, one that's meant to help us bypass certain puzzles while shutting down all the security nodes that are keeping Gregory locked down in the basement. But this, my friends, is not just any mask. This is Vanny's mask, the one that Vanessa wore throughout the entirety of Security Breach, making it pretty darn suspicious. Using this mask allows us to look into an augmented reality system, seeing things that we couldn't see before, making us invisible to certain enemies. We can suddenly walk through walls, deactivate security nodes, intentionally teleport, and as we demonstrated earlier, also accidentally teleport sometimes. Mask in hand,
Guys, isn't this such a good reaction video? This is very transformative content.
game, including the bestest boy, Glamrock Freddy, though something's a little different about him this
Yep.
time. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's probably the fact that he's missing his head. All of this while running from a glitching bunny entity that'll summon animatronics to our location if we wear the Vanny mask for too long. Eventually, we deactivate all the security nodes, including Cassie's favorite Glamrock, Roxy. Cassie, what are you doing? So sorry. This allows us to head on down to the basement where, surprise, surprise, it wasn't Gregory at all. Instead, it was an animatronic. See, told you guys Gregory was a robot this entire time. This thing right here is the Mimic, a bot designed to learn from and copy other people and robots. And whoopsie poopsie, we've just released it from its concrete prison. We run to the elevator to try to escape, only for the real Gregory
How do we
to
release it
finally
exactly?
contact us and lead us to safety. The elevator is ultimately sabotaged by either Gregory or the Mimic, unclear who exactly. That's a theory that we're going to talk about later. And we fall into the game's ending with Cassie's fate being questionable at best. Honestly, there is so much happening in this game. True to form, the fan base has just tied itself into knots arguing over all the little details. Did Gregory actually betray us in the end? What does the word prototype mean on Freddy's foot exactly? And what ending of Security Breach actually led us to this point in the timeline? Well, good news there, loyal theorists. I believe I have at least the first
I believe I have the answers.
Oh boy.
And I gotta make a big ass intro before I get to that already.
So grab your AR bunny masks, friends. We're about to see the hidden truth buried within the ruin. But before I do that, you know what complements a high-tech bunny mask? Our latest batch of theories.
Shut the fuck up. Your theory merch looks like ass.
Always the tried and true
Ass.
top line of the description. Just head on over to theoryware.com. It's actually a very cool, very fun interactive website now. And as Style Theory always says, keep it looking sharp. Now then, back to the digitized walls of the ruin. Let's start with something simple. Something that really sets the foundation for the rest of ruin. Which of the Security Breach endings is canon? Security Breach has had a weird relationship with its ending.
Princess
Sure,
Quest
some
ending.
previous FNAF games have had multiple endings. Some have even had upwards of 7, but none has ever been so vague about what the intended ending was. Of Security Breach's 6 potential endings, there were 2 that felt like real contenders for being the canon choice. The so-called true ending, 2-star ending where
It's just that because they put the most work into it.
fight Burn Trap, ending in a collapse of the entire building, and the Princess Quest ending. The only 3-star ending of the game where Freddy's dismantled by staff bots and Gregory defeats the glitch trap virus controlling Vanessa. So now that Ruin's out, which actually happened? Well, we can say with near 100% certainty that it was Princess Quest. You see, Steel Wool did something that I would have never expected. They made the comic book style drawings of all the Security Breach endings into the linchpin of the whole debate.
Fuck off.
To the linchpin of the whole debate.
Are we collecting the endings from Security Breach as comics?
Wait, I didn't know that was a
One of our
thing.
main collectibles are comic strips. Comic strips depicting images from the base game's various endings. Comics that were created by none other than one of Gregory's comics. Each comic comes with
What
a little
the fuck?
descriptor like that. These look like Gregory drew them. Gregory should be an artist when he grows up. Gregory was always so creative. That last line about Gregory being creative, that tells me that these endings are all made up. They're just stories that Gregory imagined for his own little
Then why is one of them real?
inspired by the scary true-to-life events of the franchise. But if they're made up, then how do we know that the Princess Quest ending is real? Well, once you collect all of Gregory's comics, the answer is pretty obvious. Take a look at this. These 2 are from the Gregory Escapes ending. These 2 are from the VIP ending. These are from the Loading Dock ending. This one is from the Disassemble Vanny ending. And then, last but not least, is the Burn Trap ending panel. Seems like a pretty extensive list, right? Except there's one ending that's noticeably absent here.
How the
Princess
fuck
Quest.
did he
There
just
isn't a
imagine
single
Burnt Trap
comic strip in all
ending?
of Ruin depicting
It's so
that
dumb.
ending, implying that
Makes no
one,
damn
unlike all
sense.
the others,
He didn't
was
know
real.
who
And if you
Afton
look around
was,
at the rest of Ruin with
and he
this
sure
in
as
mind,
hell
you
wouldn't
start
know
to
who the
realize
Blob
why. In the
was.
Princess Quest ending, you have to beat the Princess Quest 3 free arcade machine that's in Vanny's hideout. But when you visit that same hideout in Ruin, you find the machine on its side, with the princess's lantern sitting on top of
Steel
it. She
Wool is
has
so shit at
conquered
this.
the virus, lighting the way to freedom. And if the lantern wasn't obvious enough symbolism for you, when you put on the Vanny
And I
mask
just
and
saw the
enter the AR
sprite
world, you'll see the sword
on the
from
ground.
Princess Quest 2 and 3
Oh wait, no,
plunged
that's
into the machine.
fucking
The beast has been slain. Actually, the fact that Cassie's given the Vanny mask in the first
arcade.
place also lines up with this ending, because it's the only ending where we actively see the mask getting left behind. It's actually a big focus of this panel right here, showing us that the mask being left behind is significant. It's still waiting around for someone, in this case Cassie, to find it and become the new Vanny. And then, last but not least, there's the fact that
Not
in
really.
Ruin we come across Freddy sitting in a pile of rubble missing his head. Something that, again, only happens in the
What about the
Princess Quest
prototype?
ending. So, with our canonical ending established, let's just stop right there to talk a little
Because
bit
he
more
didn't
about
have.
Freddy, shall we?
Yeah.
In Ruin, we come across this headless Freddy, but it's unclear whether it's meant to be our Freddy from Security Breach or not. You see, this Freddy has the word prototype written across his foot, something that is definitely not present in the base game.
Disgusting
He
ass
also
feet.
has a green present hiding in his stomach, something that's awfully suspicious once you consider Security Breach started with Gregory taking an orange present out of Freddy's stomach. This can't possibly be the same robot then, right? This is one of the big debates that's captured the attention of the Faz base. If the Princess Quest ending is correct, then it kind of has to be the same Freddy. It'd be very highly coincidental if not. So how
Yeah,
then
that
do you
is what it
explain
is.
all these new features? Well, first, I think it's important to call out that design updates between games, it is nothing new for this franchise. Probably the best known example of this is the evolution of Springtrap in
That's
FNAF 3
different.
to
You
Scrap
are
Trap
changing
in
designs
FNAF 6.
between
When
games
it's
with different
basic anatomy, it
engines,
is nothing alike,
different
despite it being the
models.
same dead body in the same rotten
This is
suit.
the
Even
same
this game
fucking
can't
model,
get
but
a
they printed a
complete
big
overhaul
fat
between its first
prototype on his
appearance and
shoe for
now.
no
Or
reason.
just take a look at any of the other animatronics. Their endos are real different to the ones
Yeah,
at the
because they're
end of
getting
Security
fucked up.
Breach, and yet each and every one of them has suffered the exact same damage that they did in the previous game. But one detail that can't be replicated is something that I think a lot of the community has started to overlook, something that can't be denied, and it all relates back to the Vanny mask. We're told that this mask is known as the Virtual Augmented Neural Network Integration Unit, or VANI. As the name implies, it allows us to use augmented reality to physically see and access the neural network. It's just a fancy name for AI controlling the Pizzaplex. Throughout the game, we use this ability to make fences disappear, access security nodes, and teleport from location to location. That much is obvious. What's less obvious, though, are how the various endoskeletons behave while we're wearing the mask. As we pass most normal endoskeletons in the game, we see them wrapped in swirling pink code. This shows that they're connected to the network. They're being powered by the AI system in charge of the Pizzaplex. Now, when Cassie has the Vanny mask off, they'll start chasing us. That's because we're suddenly visible to them. We're just a kid. We're a target. But notice what happens as soon as we put the mask on. They stop chasing us. Instead, they go back to what they were doing before. We've disappeared from them because we're integrated into the AI system. We're no longer a kid. We've become one with the code. It's actually
Interesting.
pretty brilliant, subtle storytelling. But now let's get back to the topic at hand, our headless Freddy in Ruin. Unlike every other animatronic, when we put on the mask around Freddy, not only does he stop chasing us, he outright disappears. We can't see him anymore. And likewise, he can no longer see us. Why? What makes him
He doesn't
so
have
different? What's
eyeballs.
this trying to tell us? Well, if the Vanny mask jacks us into the Pizzaplex's AI system, his disappearance tells us that he's not a part of that system. He is not swirling in pink code because he's removed from the Pizzaplex's network.
Because he's a
How'd that
prototype.
happen? Well, we saw it at the top of Security Breach. Freddy glitches out and has to be rebooted in safe mode.
I
That's
guess
why
so.
he's friendly to Gregory in a way that none of the other animatronics are. He's no longer under the control of the AI network controlling the Pizzaplex. In a sense, you could say he's thinking for himself. And we see this continue throughout the entirety of
That
Security
sounds
Breach.
like
Whenever
bullshit.
Gregory sees Vanny running around, Freddy states that he didn't see anything.
You didn't see the dancing rabbit lady right in front of us?
No, I did not. There is no rabbit at the Mega Pizzaplex. Not anymore.
Vanny is very clearly real, but she's wearing her mask, thereby making her invisible to the one robot that isn't a part of the wider AI system, that only changes when
Or
Freddy is
he's not
with
showing up
Roxy's
because
eyes.
he's a
Roxy's
fucking
eyes
prototype
connect
and he was
towards the AI
dismantled
system,
from
which
it.
is why that upgrade suddenly allows Freddy to see things that were formerly invisible to him. He's seeing everything that's a part of the AI network, and that includes Vanny.
Hey, I can see you now. I have new eyes.
This one detail is why I feel that ruined Freddy here has to be the same as our best boy from Security Breach. This is a Freddy that has been removed from the system.
Explain the foot then.
Freddy here has to be the same as our best boy from Security Breach. This is a Freddy that has been removed from the system, one that was rebooted in safe mode, taking him offline, something that almost guarantees that he has to be connected to the Freddy from the original game. Weird Freddy curveballs aside, though, this game makes it abundantly clear that I was right on the money with my last few theories about how AI is now the major focus of the series, and specifically AI programs that have been corrupted by Glitch Trap, Afton's old evil data, hence why everything is wrapped in this purple or pink code. Well, everything except for Roxy. Instead of being made out of purple code like the rest of the animatronics, she instead has sections of her body made up of green code, specifically
I did
around her
notice that.
face, her arm, and her foot, making her look a lot like she did at the beginning of Security Breach. It's strange, right? But it actually ties into our previous theories.
The
This
hell
neural
was that
network
scene from?
controlling the
I don't
Pizzaplex
remember
isn't
that.
just influenced by Afton. According to the books, the AI program was originally built to play with Charlie, a girl that wore a green wristband in order for the security puppet to protect her. That's why we see Tiger Rock,
Okay.
the book's manifestation of this same AI, with two colored eyes. It has evil and good data inside of it, and different animatronics are tapped into different amounts of that same code. That's why Roxy is surrounded by green code that makes her look like she was originally supposed to. Green is the color of protection, of safety. Her influence is now putting green markers over the parts of the system that are good. This duality is actually best exemplified by, believe it or not, the daycare attendant,
Yeah, no
Sun
shit.
Moon, or Eclipse, as they're known when fused together. Since the beginning of Security Breach, this thing's presence in the game has always felt very random. Like, why is he here? Just to be another scary thing to chase us around?
To be a
Maybe,
better
but that doesn't
character
take
than
making
the
these
rest.
games work. And why would they choose such a random design of being both light and darkness, sun and moon? Well, now
It's
we
not
know. In
random.
one
That's
of
pretty
Ruin's
basic.
many lore-heavy Easter eggs, if you go up to him with the mask on while there's only one generator left to activate, you'll hear a new line that states,
No, 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 no! It's not safe yet! Turn on the other generator!
clearly, Eclipse is conflicted. One half wants to protect you, but it's getting shut away by the darker, more sinister half. He is good and evil combined. He represents both codes competing within the same body. Other animatronics are more of a
Why
sliding
isn't your
spectrum.
color
Some
theory
are more
going?
corrupt than others. But Eclipse represents the balance that
Where's your
naturally
color theory?
exists within this neural network
One
system.
needs to be green.
Which leads us then to the ending of the game. Whether Gregory is actually the one trying to kill Cassie in the final moments is a theory for another day. Instead, I'd rather focus on this, the Mimic Tunnels. At the end of the game, we're chased by a big skeleton known as the Mimic, a
Never
robot that's
noticed
able
that
to
hair.
learn from and copy other
Gregory has.
creatures. But even before we get to the elevator, Gregory tells us his friend, presumably Vanessa, has these plans for the underground tunnels.
My friend has access to the building maps. Just follow instructions.
But what are the tunnels? Why are they here? Who put them here? These tunnels aren't just random. Someone has been down here before. They've installed lighting and an elevator and everything. We also know it wasn't Gregory and Vanessa because they're on the opposite side of the room that the Mimic was locked in.
They're not in the
Pizza
room.
Place
They're
side,
not in the
the
pizza
Mix's
place.
system. We also know that these tunnels weren't just part of the FNAF 6 location because the game makes it a point to show that we're a number of floors far below that building. It tells us that this location has to be older than the FNAF 6 pizzeria. So again, I ask, what are these
Security
tunnels for
or
and
sister
why are
location?
they here? Well, the clues to finding that answer are hidden in the Mimic's room. Normally, you wouldn't be able to see any of this stuff. You break down the wall, you enter a cutscene, and the Mimic starts to chase you. However, at this point, Steel Wool understands that the internet gonna do what the internet gonna do. We're gonna rip into the files, we're gonna free cam our way all across these maps, and we're gonna crank up the brightness hunting for clues. And sure enough, there is a lot that's hidden just out of sight. Inside the Mimic's room are two costumes, a grandma bird and an elephant clown.
Okay.
It also seems like there's supposed to be a third costume, a lion
That's
wearing
the
a
ugly
long
one it
sleeve jacket,
wears.
but that one I was only able to find in the game files. That said, in one of the game's secret endings, the Mimic wears a costume that's kind of a mix of all three of these things, so that's the evidence that we need there. And overall, it's a pretty interesting
No, it
find.
just looks like
We
a
know
lion.
from the books that the Mimic is a fan of wearing costumes. In the Mimic story, as well as the Pizzaplex
I
epilogues,
guess
we
it
know
is,
that the
but
Mimic
the head
mainly
is
cycles between two
the lion.
costumes, Mushroom and a Jester. In the
A mushroom? What the fuck?
Hey, it's Amanda, and a little thing I
mainly cycles between two costumes, Mushroom and a Jester. In the story, Edwin, or parallel for the game's Henry, was responsible for turning those costumes into animatronics for Fazbear. And that right there, that's an important detail. You see, the books make it clear that those costumes came from a time before Edwin made Chica into the first animatronic. In other words, these off-branded characters like a Jester and a Mushroom predate practically everything else that we see in the games. They come from a time before the core lineup of characters was officially decided. When Edwin disappears after the death of his son, Fazbear Entertainment goes to his abandoned home and reclaims all of their property. The Mimic, the costumes, everything. Think this is only specific to the books? It's not. I suspect that we've been hearing about these costumes ever since Night 4 of FNAF 3.
Till replacements arrive, you'll be expected to wear the temporary costumes provided to you. Keep in mind that they
Yeah,
were found on very
makes
short
sense.
notice, so questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected.
But that's not all. On your way down to the FNAF 6 location, we find ourselves in a massive cave system full of bioluminescent mushrooms and waterfalls. This
Mushrooms.
immediately felt weird to me. I mean, it is the first time that we've ever been in a place like this. A place that is outside of a building location in this franchise. So why now? Why
Nature.
this
That did feel like they
Well,
just threw that
almost
shit in
ever.
because
In the
good
second
graphics.
Reminder, that's the one where the main character gets bored by an animatronic. Good memories had by all. When Charlie awakens from being trapped inside one of the twisted animatronics, she finds herself inside of an old Freddy Fazbear pizzeria. As she explores, she too discovers a cave system with, wait for it, glowing mushrooms and a waterfall. What does it mean? Well, the more I looked into it, the more I realized the strong parallels between Ruin and the original novel trilogy. In both cases, we follow a young girl who's looking for a boy the same age as her that goes missing. She finds an old pizzeria buried below a mall, and when she goes down there to where she believes the boy's calling from, it's revealed to be a trap. Am I saying Cassie is Charlie? No, I might one day, but for now I'm still mulling that one over. But I do think that there are clear connections between this game and those books that are directly being called to our attention. And what's the primary location for the final book in the series? The location where this story finally comes to its ultimate conclusion? Circus Babies Pizza World. Look again at the costumes that we see in the Mimics room. An elephant, clown, and a lion. Both animals that are commonly associated with circuses. The grandma bird actually looks a lot like a crow to me with its wide yellow beak and its dark blue coloring, which again reminds me of the Disney film Dumbo, another circus-based film that stars crows and an elephant attraction. The elephant is even wearing a clown outfit, for crying out loud. It is practically screaming at us that these costumes were designed to be mascots for circus babies. It's why when they were brought into Fazbear's as backup costumes, like Phone Guy said, their relevance was questioned, because Fazbear never had a circus theme or revealed any of these sorts of characters. They were Williams from a long time before. But that's not all. Throughout Ruin, there are secret plush baby rooms where the dolls troll you, and a whole suite of plush baby AR
council will
collectibles
decide
that
your fate.
specifically call out how weird it is that these things are here. This is Fazbear, not circus babies. There is no reason to call out all of these
This is the same
parallels
damn
unless it is
company.
specifically to call our attention to Circus Baby. These locations are connected somehow, but the final nail in the coffin for me comes thanks to one of the secret endings in the game. After the mimic chases you in costume, you end up in a locked room where you hit a big old red button and a claw-like machine comes down from the ceiling, grabs the mimic, and defeats it, at least for now. And what's that ending called in the game files? The scooper ending.
Okay, there we
This
go.
thing right here, it is a scoop. And where's the only other place that we've ever seen a scoop used? Circus Babies.
It still doesn't
an
look like
underground
it.
bunker that
It's
you
still
can
not the
only
same one.
access via an elevator. Oh wait, that describes exactly where we are. Now, remind me again what game is coming out later this year? One that has a trailer starting in the sister location elevator? One where we see a very familiar security panel from Ruin down in the bottom right corner. Help Wanted 2, the second VR game. The Mimic has been around much, much longer than any of us suspected, and we're going to find out more about him in the next VR installment coming this winter. This
Maybe.
has all sorts of implications. For one, the parallels between the Mimic and Ennard are undeniable. An animatronic that's an amalgamation of a bunch of other animatronics. What makes this one even more interesting is that the books just confirmed all games up through FNAF 6 as being games in universe of the Pizzaplex. So was Ennard just a fictional version of the Mimic the whole time? Again, that's a theory for
No,
another day.
stop
But
it.
more
Fuck
importantly,
off.
this actually has some massive timeline implications as well. Part of the reason it always felt tough for me to place Circus Babies into a timeline is because it closes after the death of Elizabeth. It always felt like a good starting point for Afton to then begin seeking eternal life and to put people back together. But what didn't make sense is why Baby would have a claw mechanism in her chest to capture kids. Afton wouldn't need to capture kids until after he had lost his child. But if Circus Babies was actually much earlier in the timeline, like these old costumes seem to suggest, things start to fall into place. Henry was the initial robotics genius. Afton just had the ideas and then gave them to Henry to turn into animatronics, like what we see with Edwin in the Mimic stories. I always brush this little detail off as confusing, but before the release of Sister Location, we got this ending from FNAF World, where Henry sits at a desk talking about
That was
the
never
evil that he
confirmed to be
created
Henry.
before he unalives himself, just like what we see him do in the novel trilogy. At that point, we see a pair of glowing eyes, and Baby's voice calls out,
Everyone, please stay in your seats.
this all
Fuck!
Everyone, please stay in your seats.
This all implied that Henry was the creator of Baby, not William, despite Afton's name being the one on the copyright. But now I think we have an answer
But
that
why?
solves all of this. William went back to collect his costumes after Henry's disappearance, just like what we see happen in the books. When he does this, he also finds the Mimic program, deciding to use its programming and technology for his own creations. The Funtime animatronics, who can do what? They have the ability to mimic voices. We see Baby doing the exact same thing in Sister Location when she mimics the voice of Elizabeth.
Well, that's her own
try and
soul, she
lure
can do that.
Michael to his death. I suspected in my last theory that Baby was still at play here. That's why Tiger Rock's eyes are blue and green, Elizabeth and Charlie. And given everything that we just talked about today, I have no doubt that this is still very much the case. How it's gonna play out, though, we'll have to see in FNAF VR 2
Shut the
later this
fuck up
year.
about how it's
Obviously,
gonna
there's
play
gonna
out.
be more to cover here in the
Solve
coming
it.
weeks, specifically about Gregory, Cassie, and Cassie's dad. But more on that one next time, because in the
You
meantime,
didn't explain
remember
shit.
that our brand new line of merch just dropped today.
I
Need to
don't
carry your books or
care.
laptop to school? Well, the messenger
That didn't explain shit. Because he did not elaborate on why the claw exists. If it was made by Henry, then it makes it even more dubious why the claw exists. Fuck.
behind. Portion of today's episode is sponsored by Delta Force.
Don't care.
For one of the hardest, scariest parts of that game, but really ask yourself, what or who is this thing? In a series that doesn't do coincidences, one already full of a core band of animatronics with old and new faces, as well as deep cut returns like the Music Man, why introduce a completely
It's not a
random
deep cut
character
return. It was
completely
literally in the
disconnected
last
from
game in the
everything
timeline.
else? Honestly, I wasn't sure, and I didn't really talk about him in my theories for Security Breach, but it definitely bugged me in the back of my mind. And now, here he is again in Ruin, and not only is he back, he's got more collectibles than literally any other character. 4 masks, 2 pinatas, 2 plushies, and 2 golden plushies, which is especially strange when main characters like Roxy and Chica only have like 1 or 2 items tops. What is the deal with this thing? Well, give him a nice close-up look, and now watch the
He's a
mimic
fan
in the game.
favorite.
You see anything interesting? It's the teeth. The teeth are the same, each one individually attached and able to articulate itself. Eclipse, in some way, is related to the mimic. And knowing how old the mimic is, step aside there, Chica. Eclipse was the first. He has truly seen everything.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. Just because teeth.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, a show that has valid theories, no eggs required.
My theory is the valid theory. Matt Pack can suck an egg.
This one's for you, Mark. Last time, we started digging deep into the ruins of Security Breach's DLC, where we started to chip away at this game's mountain of mysteries. In the process, we were able to come to a few solid conclusions. First, that Princess Quest was the canon ending, meaning Vanessa was ultimately freed from the control of Glitchtrap, and everyone celebrated the victory by eating oddly symbolic ice creams on a hill. That also meant that this headless Freddy with word prototype on his foot, it was indeed Gregory's Freddy. But perhaps the biggest twist of all was that
You didn't explain why it said prototype. Dumb fuck.
Pizzaplex and FNAF 6 hid the one and only Circus Baby's Pizza World. This revelation was huge. Not only did it suggest that Circus Baby's has been around since some of the earliest days of the franchise, I think it also reveals what the true purpose of Ruin is. This game isn't about looking at the future of the franchise. Instead, it's all about the past. I believe that Ruin is trying to tie up the loose ends from parts of the franchise we left forgotten.
It's
That way,
doing
we
a
can
shit
move forward with
job.
later games. And so today, we're going to be diving into that past, because that history is going to be the key to understanding Mixes, Sun and Moon, the truth behind Glam Rock Bonnie, and even our new protagonist, Cassie. So hold on to your nearest handrail, theorists. This elevator is taking a one-way trip straight to the first floor. Or should I say we're taking a trip straight to the first lore? I could say that, but I probably shouldn't. That's a really terrible joke. Anyway, let's start off by talking about our new protagonist, Cassie. Even though we spend a whole game with her, we ultimately don't learn all that much about her.
Cassidy.
Basically, we learn 2 things. She's a fan of Roxy. She's got some real bad luck with vents.
This vent is creaky. I really hope it's... Look, no more vents. Every single time I get in one, it breaks or something jumps out at me.
We also know that no one showed up for her birthday party.
You booked your party. I'm sure your friends will show up this time.
Well, no one except for Gregory, which is why she's so determined to save him. It's kind of cute. But aside from that, there's not a whole lot else about her.
Not
In
if you
fact,
could kill
in
a
an odd
robot.
twist, we actually learn more about her dad than we do about her.
A fast wrench. It's just like my dad's.
And it's not just in random throwaway lines either. Thanks to the air collectibles found throughout the game, we get a ton of information about Cassie's father. That her dad used to collect old Freddy and Friends lunchboxes. That Bonnie was his favorite character. That he refused to tell Cassie why Bonnie got replaced. And notice how every line describing him is written in the past tense, implicitly telling us that her dad is no longer around. There is a
Or
lot
left her.
in here. It would be fine if she just
Fatherless
offhandedly
child.
mentioned her dad once, but the fact that Steel Wool has put multiple references in here means that this character has to be important in some way. But how? And more importantly, why? Well, for Cassie to say that her Faz wrench is just like her dad's makes it pretty darn obvious that he not only worked for Fazbear Entertainment, but he was also a technician. Throughout the years, we've encountered a handful of technicians, mostly in the books. They're usually adjusting rides, fixing animatronics, nothing too exciting. However, there is one set of technicians that has gone long forgotten in the game series. That's right, way back in Sister Location, we got to see actual humans in this series, only for them to quickly get Sayori'd out of the picture. Heck, we even got to hear these guys.
Just seems like these things can't go a day without breaking down.
Now, I'm not saying that Cassie's dad is one of the two men that we hear talking or see hanging, but the ending's connections to Sister Location, plus the trailer for Help Wanted 2 featuring the Sister Location elevator
It's
and
gonna have
an electric
models of
panel
them.
like the ones that we see throughout Ruin, it all leads me to believe that her father was one of these sorts of technicians, one of the technicians that worked as a part of Circus Baby's entertainment and rentals. In fact, I suspect that he's the one we'll be playing as in that new game, Help Wanted 2, later this year. As the trailer says,
Welcome back for another week of career fulfillment and minimal social interaction.
clearly this is someone who's been down here before, and the facility in the game is working and operational. Notice the lack of yellow danger tape found at the bottom of the elevator shaft. We're going to be joining him for a few days on the job.
But this
In
is gonna be a.
turn, should
This
get
doesn't make
back-
sense because this is gonna be a based on the in-lore universe of the original FNAF VR. Was that it's a universe Fazbear official game based on in psychopaths fan games that were quote unquote defaming them. So the second game would be that too. So why the hell would you play as a specific person? Like in universe, play as a person. Like in FNAF VR, you play as Vanny. I think that's the lore. Yeah, because you're the one talking, you put on the mask, blah blah blah, you get trapped in the glitch trap door, shit ass. So you wouldn't be playing as an in-universe character like this. You might... And if he's dead, you wouldn't be playing as him. Unless this comes before, which it could, since... I don't know.
story for the events that we're seeing play out during the ending of Ruin. Maybe even witnessing the moment that they had to seal up the mimic. In fact, I'll take it one step further. Now, this one is a long shot, but I suspect that he and Cassie might wind up united down there in the bunker at the end of all
You
of
said he
this.
was dead.
Even though Cassie speaking about her father in the past tense implies that he's dead, I don't think that that's actually the case. I think he just went missing. Look at these two item descriptions. The first is for the AR Bonnie mask, which reads, "What happened to you?" You might interpret that to be what happened to you, Glamrock Bonnie, but that's not true. First, this is an AR mask of the original Bonnie. It's a mask first seen in Help Wanted 1 as part of the Trick or Treat minigame. It actually far predates the Pizzaplex. But secondly, and more importantly, Cassie actually knows the truth about what happened to Glamrock Bonnie. She knows that it was Monty Gator who eliminated him from the picture. In a later item
I thought he
description,
was
this time for
framed.
the AR Glam Monty plush, the description reads, "It's hard to look at." Why? Why would the only Monty item that Cassie can collect in the entire game be so hard to look at? Well, it's because she knows what he did. She knows that Monty's guilty, violent, responsible for trashing Glamrock Bonnie. And as a result, Cassie has a hard time looking at him the same way again. So wait, if the line "What happened to you" isn't about Glamrock Bonnie, then who is it about? Well, it's about her dad. He disappeared one day and they don't know where or why. That's why she refers to him in the past tense. But that then leads us to another question. Why is she reminded of him with that particular item? The Bonnie mask. Just because Bonnie was his favorite? No. I suspect it's because her father wore that Bonnie mask. And not only did he wear it, he wore it during the single most infamous scene in the entire franchise, the Bite of 83.
Was that the Bite of 87?
No, Mark, no, it wasn't. My theories are the only valid theories. You go lick a stick. I'm saying that Cassie's dad is the Bonnie bro. Now, that at first might seem like a stretch, but again, remember what prompts the memory of
looks
her
like him.
father. An old mask of the original Bonnie. Just like Bonnie bro wore on that fateful day all
But
those years
wait.
ago.
Since we have to overanalyze stupid ass details, check that out. Look, there is a line between the eyes. It's not one eyeball like a fucking Sonic character.
What's
Theory
more,
debunked.
notice what's missing from all these collectibles. You have a Bonnie mask and a Foxy mask, but no Freddy, no Chica mask. It's suspicious, right? Like, why? Why would Steel Wool include such a random and, more importantly, incomplete collection of memorabilia? It's clearly them trying to tell us something, that this mask is connected to the Foxy mask, the one that Michael wore during the Bite of 83. What's more, Cassie's dad is clearly established to be a massive fan of the Freddy's franchise. One of the collectibles in Ruin are these cute little Freddy and Friends lunch boxes that we're told he used to collect. Now, Freddy and Friends was a cartoon series created by
How
Steel
old
Wool
is
to help
Michael
promote the
Afton
release of Security Breach a couple
before
years
his
ago.
death?
It was animated in the style of old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, similar to things like Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear, the Flintstones, old shows that actually started in the late 60s but remained popular throughout the 70s and the 80s. Dates that very nicely line up with Fredbear's Family Diner being open. And that's not all the proof we have here. Notice how these lunch boxes have a classic metal design with a metal handle on top? They're very similar to designs that we saw popular for kids' lunch boxes that existed between the 50s and the 80s. But here's the thing, we don't even need to go as far as masks and lunchboxes and cartoons. Pull up Cassie, pull up Bonnie, bro. Can you guess where I'm going with this? Can you? If only there were a way that I could just, I don't know, just visualize the design similarities between these two characters. Oh, I know. Hey, editors, do you reckon you could whip up something for me? Maybe something that connects the red shirt, blue shorts, brown hair.
You think you're so fucking funny?
Tone of these two characters. Yes, beautiful. Work of art. Yes, that is resistance. I mean, really, what more proof do you need of this one? But that then brings us back to the question of why? Why pick Bonnie Bro of all people? Just an Easter egg, random reference to a past character? I don't think that's it. For 9 years now, FNAF has been the story of one family, the Aftons. This was their tale, their lives, their mistakes, their deaths, their resurrections. All of it culminating in that.
I honestly am kind of liking this. I want those 4 people to be significant. And I remember Link's for his entire crackhead ass theory from like 5 years ago about how the green shirt kid was the key to solving the entire FNAF lore. And I want that to be the actual case.
Characters like Bonnie Bro as Cassie's father were
What? Because we can't just fucking use Afton for the rest of the time. But introducing new characters so far into the series when this whole series is about like rehashing shit and like bringing stuff back from the dead that shouldn't be. We need to see those characters return, and that's a good idea. Next, we got to see the nameless bullies from who kicked Charlie out, because those guys are honest. Those guys are like, if it weren't for them being little assholes, FNAF might not have happened. And they better have a damn good reason for causing all this. Anyway.
Need to widen our scope, not just focus on the Aftons, but rather to those around them. I still believe FNAF 1 through 6 is the Afton story, but this new era of FNAF, it's about how the actions of the Aftons during their story affected the people around them. The ripple effects, the collateral damage. Bonnie Bro was just a kid who grew up loving Bonnie, loved watching the show made by his best friend's dad.
Yeah, he was
when
an
that
asshole.
friend, Michael Afton, roped him into a prank that went horribly wrong, he never lived it down. He went on to study robotics and become a technician so that it would never happen again. And Ruin just
he's still
keeps
an
on
asshole
digging
if
up
he
the past, because
participated in
now I
this.
want to talk about arguably the most confusing character across the entire franchise, Eclipse. But first, I need to tell you about something else that has a long history. Today's sponsor, Delta
Shut the
Force.
fuck up.
This Black Hawk, they're made. It'll be available on PC and mobile, but there's a console version on the way, which means that it doesn't matter what you and your friends are playing on, you can experience a game that has truly persevered across the decades. So again, make sure you click the link down in the description below to pre-register for the game. Thanks again to Delta Force for sponsoring this part of the video. And now it's time to talk about the perseverance of someone else, a character from FNAF this time, the daycare attendant. In general, Sun and Moon, they just don't work. They're a court jester, which makes sense inside of a castle-themed daycare, but not in the whole 80s-tastic, futuristic pizzaplex. So where did this thing come from? Well, underneath this terrifying mask is a set of robotic teeth. And those aren't just any teeth, they're made to move independently. Now, that might not seem like that important of a design feature, but believe me, it is. There's only one other character with teeth like that, and it's the Mimic. Now take another look at Eclipse's design. It's a scrawny design with arms and torso that are basically just long metal rods with springs wrapped around them. And when you take a look at the back of the head, you'll see a circuit board just there, out in the open. The design feels simple, rudimentary, very bare bones, just like the Mimic, who's made up of old parts from industrial machines. 2 animatronics made from the same basic shapes and parts. Now, am I saying that Eclipse is a Mimic? No. But what I am saying is that these animatronics seem to come from the same time period. A time period that predates practically everything that we've seen in this franchise. How early are we talking about here? Well, for the answer, again, I turn your attention to the AR collectibles. While playing through the game, I just couldn't shake how random the collection was. I've talked about this before. A Foxy and Bonnie mask partnered with a Sun and Moon mask. Where's Freddy and Chica? A similar thing happens with the golden plushies. You got Sun Moon, Foxy, Bonnie, Baby, and Glamrock Freddy. It's a weird assortment, but again, there's no Chica. Or you got the pinatas. There's just 3 of them. Sun Moon and Bonnie. Not labeled Glamrock Bonnie, just Bonnie. It's almost like the game is trying to tell us something with all these random groupings and which animatronics are present where. And I suspect that what we're actually seeing here are the eras of the franchise and the key players that existed in each one. And the one who came first, Sun and Moon. You'll notice that of all the collectibles, there are 2 that are visibly unique relative to all the others. A collection of 2 masks that stand out from the rest. The comedy mask and the tragedy mask. They have no eye or mouth holes. They're not even colored. And the fact that they're labeled comedy and tragedy and not Sun and Moon tells us that these weren't just any masks, they were old theater masks. masks. You're probably familiar with these things, the laughing and crying masks. Well, you see, the tradition of theater masks actually originates in ancient Greek theater. The first plays evolved from rituals that involved masks, so it was natural for actors to wear masks that represented these heightened emotions that their characters were feeling. And while I don't think that Sun and Moon date back nearly that far, I do suspect that these masks were actually Afton's first creations. For years, we've been left to
Make up your
speculate about
damn
the time that
mind.
came before Fredbear's Family Diner, and I did my best in the Ultimate Timeline to piece together a plausible narrative for what would bring Afton to create Fazbear based on the evidence that we had available. But I think that these AR collectibles are Steel Wool's way of telling us that journey. Look at the evolution that's present here. Comedy and tragedy masks. They're the first. They're part of some theater or vaudeville-style sideshow. Then you go to Sun, Moon, and Bonnie Pinatas. A third new character gets added into the mix. Afton's character, the Bunny. Then there
Okay,
are
that makes
4
sense.
masks. Still Sun and Moon, then Bonnie, and then Foxy. There's no Freddy or Chica because they're not here yet. They didn't join the band, as it were, until William and Henry started working together. It's then, and only then, when Henry brings his barnyard animals to the table, Chica, Pigpatch, Happy Frog, that we see the Lunchbox crew develop. The core 4 that we've known and loved since FNAF 1. And then the AR plushies are just everyone who's currently relevant inside of the Pizzaplex, i.e. every character that's been created. As for the golden plushies, I'm not quite sure what they're meant to be. That one remains to be seen. Regardless, that progression
lore
of character
significant
development
ones.
would explain why Afton's solo adventure after the closure of Freddy's was circus-themed. He's had himself a jester and jester-adjacent characters for years. Though, I would like to point out very strongly that a jester and circuses are not one and the same thing. A clown is not a jester, and a jester is not a clown who works at a circus. A jester is someone who
Don't care.
entertains royalty, a king and a queen. He does not work under a big top coming out of a small car. And don't even get me started on the fact that everyone's teasing this new game, Carnival theme, which again, carnivals are not circuses and circuses are not jesters. You're all just trying to retroactively fit them into these themes where they don't technically go,
Shut your
which
bitch ass up, no
honestly
one
probably
cares.
tells you more about the lore than you would expect. It's actually kind of smart world building. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Anyway, we know thanks to the Tales from the Pizzaplex that a jester costume was present all the way back when the original Mimic was made. Quote, Dominic's flashlight glow picked out a brown Freddy Fazbear costume, a yellow Chica costume, a Foxy costume, a Bonnie costume, and a couple bright pink and yellow-green court jester costumes. And it's clear that the jester idea persisted throughout all of Afton's plans, because in the epilogues of the Tales from the Pizzaplex book, we also read this. Quote again, as soon as Lucia's hand slipped into the jester costume sleeve, she recoiled and snatched her hand back. What is it? Kelly asked. It's okay. I just almost got into a spring-lock suit is all. The jester costume developed from just a normal costume into a spring-lock suit. Suits, which were
When the fuck?
definitely used in Circus Baby's Pizza World.
Try not to wiggle, though. You're inside something that
Yeah, we
came
get it.
from my old pizzeria. I don't think it was ever used. I recommend that you keep the spring locks wound up.
The spring-lock
We
suit
get it.
also has a mask that matches up almost perfectly with our daycare attendant. One final quote. Lucia stepped up to the costume, suppressing a shiver at the jester's leering, toothy grin and its wide eyes. And the best part is, thanks to the Mimic, I think I can pinpoint exactly when Circus Babies started and eventually fell through. I decided to look a little deeper into the room just before the Mimic chase. It's an old room, filled with shattered security nodes, propane tanks, and the Mixus hub, all connected to a computer which we can use to free the Mimic. Now, the majority of people have been assuming that Mixes is Gregory's doing. His backpack is down there after all, and the
Make the holidays sweeter.
Fuck.
is Gregory's doing. His backpack is down there after all, and the Mimic has his walkie-talkie, but something just didn't add up to me. The computer controlling the Mixes server is way older than any of the other technology that we see throughout the Pizzaplex. We've got camera galleries, modern
Okay,
office spaces,
Gregory's a
even portable
broke-ass
security
homeless
camera
bitch.
viewing stations. But this super important system for keeping the killer robot under lock and key is using only an old CRT monitor? Yeah, no, that doesn't feel right to me. And this computer isn't just any computer, its design matches those from the 1980s. Specifically, it reminds me of the IBM PC-JR. Computers that were released in, get this, 1984. Mixes has been around for a long time. Trying to keep the Mimic locked away, but why? Well, I think I have an answer to that. An answer that also gives us an explanation for why Mixes shows itself as a blue rabbit. See, I don't think Afton only copied physical characteristics from the Mimic to make animatronics like Eclipse. I think he also took its software to speed up his creation process. I think that this was one of the ways he was able to populate Circus Baby's Pizza World with the Funtime Funtime animatronics. As John from the channel FNAF has been quick to point out time and time again, almost all of the Funtimes have themselves a very specific function. They have the ability to mimic voices. Just like John, I too believe that Afton got that functionality from the Mimic program itself. After the tragic death of his son during the bite of 1983, Afton needed a backup plan, something that he could build fast.
We
because
still
the
don't
kid
have an
Fazbear
answer to
Dave
the
was permanently
bottom.
tarnished. So he went back to the Mimic program and made a copy of its software,
Why do we have to
transferring
get
it into
more
his
questions? Why can't we just answer old ones?
his creations, hoping that they would be able to learn routines much faster. He could then give them stomach hatches and other features to help him capture kids, all to forward his experiments in bringing his son back to life. Everything
Back
looked
to
like it was
this.
going according to plan, but sadly, we know what happened. His daughter got too close to one of his traps and was killed. Afton was obviously devastated by this and
We're
shut the
going
whole
back
thing
to
down.
the
The Mimic
sympathetic
programming had
Afton
failed
theories.
spectacularly. He sealed up the old location with concrete, and as a safety measure, he created a new program that would keep the Mimic locked away permanently. A system wrapped in his signature purple, guarded by the one creature that he could trust, the rabbit Bonnie. And so Mixes was born. That then gives us two separate Mimics. One inside Baby and the Funtimes, ready to be collected by Fazbear Entertainment and used to create VR experiences, and the other still trapped down in the basement. This would actually go a long way to explain a weird moment from the middle of Ruin, where Helpy and the Mimic argue with one another.
What happened to it? Yeah, with my help.
They're both Mimic AI, so what exactly is going on here? Well, it's two
Since
versions
when?
of the same program finally in the
When did you
same
say
place
Helpy was a
after
Mimic?
so long. Helpy is the Mimic program in the network, while the Mimic talking to Cassie is the physical Mimic down in the basement.
You never
It's
said that.
possible, it's confusing, and I suspect it might just be right. Guess all in a day's work for FNAF lore, am I right? But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
See, this is what I fucking hate, is that the FNAF series evolved in a way where it made sense in a timeline. The electronics kept getting higher quality, and throwing Circus Baby at the fucking beginning of the timeline makes the rest look stupid. We already... Actually, no, we haven't done that yet. I'm still making that video. In fact, the reason I'm making this video is to make that video. I already watched that, Oh yeah, let's watch MatPat being a little bitch. I already watched this, actually, so I don't need to. But I just want to show you why I don't like MatPat, and why a lot of people don't like MatPat. Because he's a little crybaby bitch. I've had plenty of wrong theories and plenty of people shitting on my theories, and I never act like this. I never feel the need to make a video about it.
Want to be rude, huh? Well, you might want to look up the definition of what it means to be rude there, friendo. It's not just me and John either.
No.
The most recent story. And here's another one. I don't want to be rude, but the Mimic and Baby theory sucks. I don't want to be rude, huh? Well,
That's not rude. Just saying that something is bad isn't rude. You're an idiot.
Also involved with this one. He was told that his theories kept seeing the same thing. The theory about
Yeah,
that.
because FNAF lore is stupid as
I
fuck.
know why this is happening. Honestly, just like the FNAF lore, it's pretty darn complicated. But at this rate, if we don't actually stop,
It's not that complicated. FNAF lore is stupid, so it's impossible to decide on anything. Everything sounds dumb.
We're jumping the animatronic Felix the Shark. Such as, Cassie got his body, bro. Is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, says one commenter. Great. I mean, I also said that Deadpool is Ernest Hemingway. I think that one was dumb, but sure, go for it. Didn't miss that one. Dave Carrot tendons endoskeleton teeth match the Mimic. This one right here says it is dumb, 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 dumb. Read this, read that one. We'll get to that in a second. Oh, and this one here's the classic. Gregory's a robot. This theory is literal cancer. No, friend. No.
No, my friend, no, it's not. I am a nerd. I know what real cancer is. No, you don't. No one really knows what cancer is. If we else, we would have found a fucking cure by now. But these are kids. The FNAF fandom is full of kids. This is a grown-ass man getting offended at a bunch of children.
It's not. It is not a literal cancer. And if me suggesting that a fictional character in a YA murder bunny game is a robot is that bad to you, go touch grass. Anyway.
And then that's the final straw. The fact that he needs to throw in the lamest insult in the history of lame insults, that's just sad. When have you touched grass, MatPat? I can't recall last time I saw you in an outside setting.
There's a varying degree here of these sorts of comments. But the main thing is that this is nothing new. When I suggested Dream Theory as an explanation for the first wave of games back in 2015,
Yeah, because it was
people were so
pissing
mad. They
off.
hated
It was
Honestly,
horrible.
I was missing 4 games of story and beloved characters with the whole, it was all just a dream trope. Honestly, I didn't love it either, but it felt like where the evidence was largely
Yeah, it was right, but people were mad. People didn't want to accept it. And I personally think the Gregbot theory is good. I think Ruin fucked it all up by introducing the Mimic. I think the Mimic marks the point when I stopped following the FNAF lore. Like, everything made sense to me until the Mimic showed up, and I'm like, what the fuck is all this? You can't just rewrite the beginning of the timeline 50 times over.
wait until then this new Tales of the Pizza Place book is coming out. Apparently it rewrites FNAF 4 into some hallucinogenic gas creation. Thanks for that, Scott. Couldn't even let me have that victory, could I? What do you want from me, Scott? I'm selling the books for you. Speaking of the books, by the way, it also happened with those books. I started using the books, all books, for overall...
I thought that was a good idea. But I wouldn't be an asshole to a bunch of kids just because I think they're wrong.
Now, community holds me and all the other snatchers hostage if we're not looking at the books, or if we're looking at them improperly, and not treating them as 100% canon to the events of the game. Long story short, time is a powerful thing, and in this franchise especially, it is super powerful.
No, the books still ain't canon. All that shit that happens in them is bullshit. The boobies, whatever the hell they were called.
Become the correct theories a year, or 2 years, or even 5 years down the line, as more details solidify around the story. For a great example of this, let's just take a look at everyone's favorite Gregory as a robot theory, where I propose that Gregory is indeed the robotic reincarnation of the Crying Child. When I look online, this is often the one that people point to as the point where Matt Pat fell off, where he literally lost the thread of games, and to this day, it has entered the hallowed pantheon of theories that get mean to
I still agree with it.
Luigi's eggplant height, weight, his girth, Luigi's girth. It's a girthy boy! And of course, the Lord of them all, Sans' nest, the king that rules them all, right? And more often than not, that robot theory gets boiled down to this singular graphic right here, so much so that we actually started to meme on it ourselves. And you know, when it gets to us memeing something, it is definitely dead. We are so cringe that we make your dad's jokes look cool. But here's the thing, Gregory as a robot is now a theory that has spawned over 4 other theories and constitutes over 15,000 words. And so dismiss it as purely white kid in striped shirt go, brr. Isn't that you just falling into the same trap that you, the internet users, have led with me? You say that I ignore evidence, that I don't do my research, that I ignore key details just to forward my intended narrative, but isn't that exactly what you're doing there? I mean, look at the facts, and for the sake of clarity...
Look at the facts! Anytime he says look at the facts, he's being toxic. He's so toxic. Well, where's the purple? I don't remember where the purple is.
His vision getting all staticky when Manny skips past him in the Pizzaplex, and him looking differently when Freddy gets Roxy's eyes. I don't know about you, but that right there, that seems to me like a lot of important evidence. So who's really ignoring evidence to forward their intended narrative here? Me, the person trying to concoct a theory to explain all of those details, or anyone online who continues to insist that Gregory, yeah, you know, he's just a normal kid. And just like with Dream Theory and Book Theory, more evidence for this has just started to stack up. Since the release of Security Breach, the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, which many are now considering to be 100% canon to the games, these books have repeatedly included over and over again, story after story of kids either becoming robots, always being robots, or being taken over by robots. You don't even have to read the stories in the books to know this. I mean,
Yeah, but you don't have to be an asshole about it.
Robot humanoid. This one doesn't count. Robot humanoid. Like the last book.
Why doesn't that one count?
Right now, as this episode releases, it is literally about a kid who turned himself into a robot. Yeah, look, it's got human fingers and everything. Another one of those stories, this time GGY, it focuses on a boy named Gregory, sounds familiar, who sets high scores in the Pizzaplex, again, should sound familiar. He disappears multiple school counselors, similar, and he goes by the name Dr. Rabbit. This story right here is basically shouting in our faces the fact that Gregory is patient 46, confirming that, regardless of how you feel about Gregory as a protagonist, he's a bad dude. He is killing people off, or at the very least, he's making them disappear to protect whatever secret he has. Something that, again, we predicted as part of that Robot Gregory series.
And fucked it all up.
Plus, you can't ignore the fact that he's calling himself Dr. Rabbit, which again, is yet another connection over to the Afton family. Here, Greg returned the weight. He smiled, then he cocked his head and studied Tony for several seconds. It's weird, right?
I've watched this one.
Gregory, Flash, Baz. Why would it be?
It was just such a pathetic video that didn't need to exist. Such a waste of everyone's time. Waste of my time right now. Hell, the reason I'm making this stream is so I can get on with another video, and instead I'm doing this. Just because I feel the need to show why MatPat is a dick.
To try and convince you, the internet critics out there of this theory, there are some dead horses that I just want to leave alone, believe it or not. And honestly, I don't care if you believe this theory or not. I do not care in the slightest. I have no horse in this race.
If you did not care, you would not have made this video.
I am here having fun in my little corner of the internet trying to solve silly video game mysteries with a cool team around me and an awesome community of theorists. I would love you internet critics to join us. That'd be awesome. We are an open-minded community. We are welcoming.
This video isn't solving anything.
But for the people around Reddit and Twitter who accuse me and all the other theorists of ignoring important information for the sake of forwarding our own version of the narrative just because we don't care about this franchise, ask yourself honestly, who's really the closed-minded ones here?
You. Always you. You're always closed-minded. You love to toot your own horn.
Ones pointing out this information. We're the ones who are trying to solve what all this means. To ignore it, that actually feels disrespectful to the franchise. While we're being honest about all this, let's also be honest about our standards for clue hunting. I have been raked over the coals a lot across recent theories for making visual connections between characters and objects. My last theory, great example of this. I drew parallels between the daycare attendant and the mimic because both of them have very unique teeth, where each individual tooth is independently operated. It's a completely unique design for an endoskeleton, only shared by those two characters, and yet a lot of people were quick to dismiss the entire idea as just surface level. Oh, it's only a coincidence. But do you remember what franchise we're talking about here, friends? We started with counting animatronic toes and buttons, but the reason...
Yeah, and you never got anywhere with that.
I saw those exact same conversations happening around the mimic's hand with its clawed fingers. Oh my gosh, clawed fingers, just like Bird Trap or the Glamrock's hands. You do realize that you're doing the exact same thing that you were criticizing me.
They all use that hand.
Then I can compare independently moving teeth, right? In the end, well, things have certainly gotten more sophisticated in the theorizing space, and we have higher standards for our evidence. And we should always be looking for more evidence to support any of our conclusions. Simple observations like fingers or teeth, they're easy ones to build off of. They're easy ones to start exploring. And hey, where they lead to can be some really awesome.
Like, I think that the mimic, I would think I got convinced that the sun and moon existed a really long time ago. I just don't like it because it's shit narrative. It's shit timeline. How is this advanced AI robot with advanced AI and older than the rip it apart with your own bare hands suits from the original game? A few weeks ago, I asked one of you online to take a Myers-Briggs personality test. Now, this is a really fun assessment that breaks down into one of 16 different
personality types based on letters. Are you an E, an extrovert who likes just being out with people, or are you
I
an
don't
I,
care.
who likes your quiet alone time? Are you a structured and organized J for judging, or you'll go with the flow for perceiving P? Do you prefer logic and thinking, T, or do you like to go with your gut and your feelings, F? But for this particular debate, I actually want to focus on two letters, S and N. No, these two letters focus on how you process information. The S stands for sensing. This means that you take the information from the world around you and you take it at face value. You use your five senses to determine what is real and factual. It often means that you look at the world in a very literal way. N, on the other hand, stands for intuition. It's not the cleanest of lettering systems, but they'd already use the I. Anyway, if you're an N, it means that you interpret information in more abstract ways. Rather than just relying on exactly what's in front of you physically, you take that information and then you go a couple steps further. You make connections between things in interesting ways to go beyond just your five senses. So, how does this relate to theorizing? Well, the vast majority of this channel subscribers are N's. They're taking information not at face value, but building more abstract connections to find solutions. In fact, almost everyone who works at Team Theories here is an N, purely by coincidence. It's not like you can actively screen for something like that. It just works out this way because the way we do things here requires a certain mindset.
Yeah, and that was another reason why, another point where
Of course not. There are so many examples of him being a hero, but you also can't ignore little details like the time he chained up Donkey Kong, or the time that he stomped on his little brother's toe. And that right there yields some pretty interesting conclusions if you connect all those dots, leading to, hey, Mario is a villain. That's not to say that you can't also
okay, stepping on someone's toe doesn't make you a villain, it just makes you an asshole.
They showcase this exact difference in mindset. They probably best showed it with how to interpret Michael's ending monologue from Sister Location. Tom's an N, John is an S. John used the literal words being said to inform his interpretation, while Tom was more focused on how the words were said to imply meaning. Fun fact, by the way, after we shot this video, we got into contact with John.
I don't care.
So when evidence needs to be interpreted with an
It's all just this community BS no one cares about.
But secondly, and more importantly, Cassie actually knows the truth about what happened to Glamrock Bonnie. She knows that it was Monty Gator who eliminated him from the picture. A lot of people were quick to point out
Already said this.
showing on the screen. That would be really dumb of me if that was what I was doing, but this was one of those moments where people outright accused me of lying about the evidence, saying that I was ignoring.
Wait, hold on.
A lot of people were quick to point out that on the description of the Glamrock Bonnie plush, it says, quote, Dad wouldn't tell me why they replaced Bonnie. In fact, this was one of those moments where people outright accused me of lying about the evidence, saying that I was ignoring the text, that I was literally showing on the screen. That would be really dumb of me if that was what I was doing, but let's actually take a closer look at that specific line. Dad wouldn't tell me why they replaced Bonnie. Typically speaking, someone as an S would look at that line and take it literally. Her dad wouldn't tell her what happened, therefore, she doesn't know what happened. However, as an N, I'm not just taking those words at face value, nor was I willfully ignoring them. I was just interpreting them differently. Her dad wouldn't tell her what happened. That doesn't necessarily mean she doesn't know what happened. Your parents might not tell you how to cook a meal.
Didn't he already say that? You don't need to retell people this. If they're stupid, let them be stupid. You don't need to make a whole nother video.
It's bright, it's shiny. It is physically hard to look at because it's an AR object, so maybe that's why. But N's would read that line and probably read it different. Nothing else.
No, no one would look at it like that because they all look shit.
So what makes the Monty AR thing so different? Well, maybe because it's not physically difficult to look at, but emotionally difficult to look at. It's hard to look at because she knows the truth about what Monty did to Glamrock Bonnie.
That was never proved. When did we prove that?
Is this line used to market the new Tales from the Pizza Place books? Quote, a collection of new Five Nights at Freddy's short stories set in the world of the newest game. This one line has been used time and time again to say that these Tales from the Pizza Place books, they are 100% canon, one for one with the game stories. That right there, that is a very S interpretation, a literal interpretation of what's being said. But there's also the N interpretation of that line. You can be set in a world without it being the same world. I think Right Toast actually said this one best.
The Super Mario Brothers movie that just came out, that's set in the Mario Brothers universe, 100%, but it's not canon to the games.
Hey, Ryan, your end showing. But that's always the most and so many, myself included, have treated these new books in the same way, and as a result, we've gotten lots of hate for it. I mean, it's not invalid interpretation, it's just a different, less literal interpretation.
What the hell? What that guy just said made absolutely no sense because we've already seen that the Mario movie works differently. It has a world that does not function the same, where the warp pipes go to the real world and shit. That doesn't happen.
It doesn't exist anymore. You have to dig up, like, historical websites to find it. It's now been replaced with this line that is published across all the books. Scott Cawthon spins 3 sinister novella-length tales from uncharted corners of the series as canon. Again, that right there, that is even more vague and non-specific, because look, we're talking about areas that are uncharted, never explored before, which honestly, even if you're choosing to read that line with a literal interpretation, feels like it's even more support for them not being 100% canon with the games, since we have charted a lot of the topics that you see in some of these stories, like the Gregory story. Great example. We know how he acts in the game is slightly different than how he acts in the books. It's not one for one. It cannot be literal. Just pointing out it is a difficult position to defend. And all of that is without me even pointing out the differences between the books and the games, like the fact that there isn't a giant baobab tree in the middle of the pizza plex, the fact that the pizza plex is not shaped like a giant pizza slice in the game, as it is in the books, the fact that there isn't a giant VR/AR dome that's turning people into Bazgoo, and that there's no roller coaster that's running through the center of the restaurant. And those are just some of the differences that pop to the top of my head. I have seen people online picking and choosing certain stories to be canon and certain stories to not be canon. And again, I have to call out, isn't that just picking and choosing certain evidence pieces to forward your intended narrative? And you see
Yes, but it's valid here because it's all stupid.
That you criticize online theorists of. You have an answer that you're committed to, and so every theory is based on a core assumption. And if it's okay for you, then it has to be okay for us.
It can only be canon if it makes any damn sense. You can't have the Edward thing be canon because Henry's name isn't Edward.
And here's the important thing to remember. We're all working towards the same goals. We're trying to solve this franchise together as completely as possible using the most
Exactly, so what the hell is the point of this video? People who are saying it's stupid are also just people who... No. What the hell this video is about anymore.
This franchise changes, it evolves, it adds more lore in places that you least expect. So when someone makes a big old swing, don't be quick to write them off. I mean, I suspected that Chico was a mediocre melody just out of the blue, and that Mr. Hippo was at one point one of the core animatronic lineup. Both things that at the time seemed like pretty big swings back in the day, but both things that at this point actually have a lot of evidence to back them up. So sometimes those big risk theories actually yield some pretty big rewards. In the end, remember, it's easy to point at someone else's ideas and find holes, but it's actually a lot harder to then offer up your own solutions. It takes guts to put yourself out there and concoct theories, so be nice to other people's ideas.
Wow, look at this man tooting his own horn again.
Making mistakes. If every theory were perfect first time out, well, to be honest, there wouldn't be any mystery to this, right? The games wouldn't be as fun. It would be kind of boring. And honestly, it would have spawned this incredible franchise that we have today. It also would have spawned this amazing merch. Like this spring.
Yep, I know your stupid ass merch no one wants.
So, my secret's out. I can
Mm-hmm. The final code, I doubt it. Just nuggets all in my fucking face.
See credit clearly.
I'll leave you to it. See you on the flip side.
So, I will catch you on the flip side, hopefully.
I called it. I totally called it. 8 years ago, I told you that the purple guy was the phone guy, and now here we are. William Afton, our killer, is on a phone saying, see you on the flip side, just like phone guy did all those years ago. Finally, I've been vindicated. Hello,
No.
Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show where every victory is bittersweet. You see, I should be super happy that I just had one of my oldest FNAF theories confirmed. Instead, I'm feeling haunted
No,
by
it
the
didn't.
mysteries of the past. Let me explain. At this point in the series, I feel like we have a really solid understanding of the story. We know the broad strokes, we know the general timeline, the few big lingering
No, we
questions
don't
that
know the
are
general
starting to focus. Where's the place
timeline.
in the sister location? All the most recent games and books have hinted at its connection to the Threadbare era. What's the origins of Fazbear? Well, the books seem to be giving more and more hints, pointing at the early days of William and Henry's working relationship. What was the deal with FNAF 4? Literally, the final tale of the Pizzaplex all but spells it out for us. All of those are probably theories best saved for a later date, but today, I wanted to focus on something else. The clues that we've all completely missed. The times when this franchise has explicitly tried to tell us something, and we've utterly failed to pick up on what it's been laying down. And let me be clear, I'm not talking about me overanalyzing some minor detail of the game world. I'm talking about very clear puzzles that were very obviously set up by the game makers for us to solve that we've been unable to do anything with. And the reason I'm calling it out now is because they're starting to add up. In my estimation, there have been no less than 4 of these sorts of major puzzle moments. At least 3 of them are connected, and it's been going on for the better part of 6 years. So now that we're all done fangirling over Doug's apps,
I finally got my appetizer. Thanks, Fnaf.
before Help Wanted 2 drops and adds a whole new layer of mysteries to solve, I wanted to take a minute to stop and see if now, finally, we were able to solve these mysteries once and for all. The pieces are in place for us. The question is, are we able to put them together? The first one of these is also the most recent, so it comes as no surprise to see me bringing it up here. The tally marks codes that we found hidden throughout FNAF Ruin. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, in the newest game, right before you reach Bonnie Bowl, there's a corridor with a number of real doors, as well as several blocked off AR doors. You walk through one of the real life doors, you'll find a room full of baby plushies. This is already a bit weird because the game makes it a point to call out the fact that baby should not be here. Specifically with the AR plush baby toy where the description reads, quote, what's she doing here? The answer, we suspect, is that the Pizzaplex, sister location, the FNAF 6 location, and the FNAF 4 house are all practically built on top of each other. Or at the very least exist as
So
one connected series
absurd.
of buildings. We go into the basement of the Pizzaplex only to find the FNAF 6 location. In a secret ending of Ruin, we see a version of sister location Scooper deactivating the mimic. And in one of the final tales of the Pizzaplex stories, we read about how the FNAF 4 house is connected to Circus Baby's entertainment.
We already knew
So really,
that.
to answer Cassie's question, the baby plushies are here because they all share a connected history. A history that is gradually being excavated layer by layer underneath the Pizzaplex. Anyway, in this room, the dolls laugh at you, and then when you turn around, they disappear. Nothing all that surprising. But what is surprising is what remains in the left-hand corner, right where the plushie sat. You'll find a chair, turn to face the corner, and a sequence of tally marks carved into the wall. And these aren't just random markings either. They're specifically in groups of 2s, 4s, and 5s. And they're grouped in such a way to suggest words, or at the very least, separate letters. Now, that alone would be weird, but an even bigger, clearer display of tally marks appears again about an hour later into the game. After completing Bonnie Bowl, you enter Bonnie's green room behind Bowling Alley. Not only does this area show us the special relationship that existed between Freddy and Bonnie, if you put on the Manny mask on the wall over top of the pin-loading staff body is another code, much larger and much more organized than the one that we just saw before. And once again, all the tally marks here are specifically grouped into 2s, 4s, and 5s. No 1s or 3s in sight. They are obviously meant to be connected. They're obviously trying to tell us something, but we are obviously not getting the message. So what can we do? Well, the first answer is to try a substitution cipher. Tally up the numbers and swap in the appropriate letters. Notice though that the tally marks are weirdly spaced out, which led a bunch of us to believe that we're supposed to be using those spaces to define each letter, adding up the numbers that aren't separated by the space. So the top line there is going to be 4, then a space, then 544, which would add up to 13. It's a pretty darn self-explanatory system here. Doing that for the whole thing gives us a code of 4, 13, 6, 19, 4, 17, 7, 4, 16, 10, 8, 7, 27, 19, which, if you do a standard number to letter conversion, gives you this. DM, F, S, D, Q, G. Yeah. No, and I'm just going to leave it there. Clearly, this isn't working. It's just a bunch of random letters. You'll also notice that there's a 27 in that number mix, which should have been our first red flag, considering that, there's only 26 letters in the English alphabet. But Reddit user T-Girl Lunara wasn't deterred. Because the alphabet doesn't have 27 letters, they instead took it a step further and tried the whole thing as a shift cipher. A shift cipher is similar to a Caesar cipher, but instead of the numbers converting into standard letters like A1, B2, C3, etc., you instead mix up or shift the order in some way. So now, for instance, A is 7, B is 8, C is 9, and so on. Normally in a Caesar cipher, the alphabet then loops back around. So if A was 7, Z would then equal 6. But that doesn't happen. The numbers just carry on as is. So in this case, if A equals 7, then Z would equal 32. For this particular instance, T-Girl Lunara put A equaling 4, which meant that 27 was now X, and gave us the entire code of Adjective Pan Damaged XP. Not a lot of lore significance with that one, but I did want to continue down that path. So we tried
Got
hundreds
close.
of different shift and Caesar ciphers. They all came out as absolute gibberish. We also tried just unscrambling words, see if there was another
There's
arrangement in there, which
damage
was
in
the
there.
answer, but yet again, more gibberish. Another solution was presented by user Smart Fella Fart Smella, great name there. We also tried adding up the numbers, but this time they didn't do it by adding up the numbers in each row, but instead the numbers in each column.
Listen, paying $14.99 a month for a stream.
Numbers, but this time they didn't do it by adding up the numbers in each group, but instead the numbers in each column. Again, notice the odd spacing of all these tally marks. It can't be a coincidence, right? The first column contains a 4 to 5, so that would be 9. Second is just the 2, next up is 5, so on and so forth down the line. Ending up with this code: 9, 2, 5, 9, 13, 7, 10, 8, 21, 16, 20, 14, 17, 8, 2, 5, 4, 4. This felt promising to me, because unlike last time, we only had numbers that fell within the alphabet. So converting all of these numbers into letters, we got ourselves the following: I, B, in the Jup, bed. We once again went through with all the classic Caesar ciphers and word unscramblers and all that stuff, but once again wound up with nothing. Back to the drawing board for the third time. An anonymous poster uploaded this on the image.
I
The
hate
same
this
point
shit.
brought to my attention by Reddit user No Ring. Basically, what they pointed out was that the tally marks in the corner of Baby's room make a 5x5 grid. A grid that, when rotated or flipped, can map perfectly onto the tally code that we see on the wall of Bonnie Bowl. No Ring actually took this information and pointed out the fact that the main grid arrangement seems to line up with something known as a Polybius cipher, which uses a 5x5 grid of letters to scramble or unscramble.
Polybius,
Basically, a number code like 53 would mean that you go along with
the
5,
haunted
and then
video
that right there's
game.
the letter for your phrase. And while it certainly seems promising at first, sadly the method also came up short. With only 2s, 4s, and 5s as the tally marks, the grid wasn't really giving us any information that we could use to decode anything. We needed an entire alphabet in here, not just a few random tally marks. The same held true for another famous 5x5 grid cipher, the Playfair cipher, which requires a code word to use. What could that code word be? Who knows? Did it feel like we were actually starting to make some level of progress here? Yes, absolutely. But did any of it yield us any results? No. But here's where things get really interesting. This isn't the first time FNAF has stumped us with tally marks. Rewind backwards 6 years, my friends, to the release of the Freddy Fazbear Security Logbook, home to my 2 oldest and greatest nemesis, the Foxy Grid and the Dabbing Chica. For those of you who haven't been been a part of the community for that long, let me quickly tell you that this seemingly innocent children's workbook was pivotal for decoding FNAF 4, for giving us the name of Cassidy, for frustrating us to no end with seemingly unsolvable number puzzles. The most notorious of them all was the Foxy Grid, a numeric grid with a hidden alphabet written into its pairs. A grid that we still haven't figured out the use of to this very day. You ever read Moby Dick? At least are you familiar with the story about how Captain Ahab's obsessed with killing this giant white whale? This right here, this Foxy Grid, that is my white whale. This thing haunts my nightmares. This grid keeps me up at night, which honestly are two very contradictory effects of this one grid on my sleep habits, but that is how infuriating this thing is. I am convinced that this grid will eventually give us the name of the crying child. I just don't know how yet. Anyway, one of the other clues that never really got
I thought I gave it to
were
Evan
a
a while
series of
ago.
tally marks that were found throughout the book. The fact that they're in red pen tells us that they were written by Mike. Other than that, we don't really know anything about what they were trying to say to us, so they've lingered on in the back of my brain for over half a decade. Why am I bringing them up now? Well, I wondered if there was a possible connection between these two sets of tally marks. You know, besides them just being tally marks. Guess what I found? Groups of 4s and 5s only. Yet again, we find ourselves with a collection of tally marks carrying over the same specific sets of numbers. Are they connected? Or is this just a random coincidence? Not really sure. But the fact that tally marks keep getting brought up and also keep stumping us, that's just a wee bit infuriating. Yet the games still aren't done with this puzzle. You see, tally marks are connected to yet another part of the franchise, Security Breach. After I played through the original Security Breach, this room in the daycare section really caught my attention.
I'm noticing that 2, 4, and 5 are different, which is weird. As someone who has dealt with a lot of codes and ARGs and things, that feels suspicious. I agree.
2, 4, and 5. 2 years before Ruin, some element, some essence of this tally code was still kicking around. Now the numbers were being matched with colors. And so Reddit user Comfortable Map 7594 took those tally marks and used these colors to create a sort of paint by numbers graphic, which I absolutely adore as a possible solution, though I absolutely hate the fact that it didn't seem to produce anything. Let me know down in the comments. Do you see anything here? Because me, all I'm seeing here is me getting depressed. So maybe we just take a break from trying to decode these things and instead take a minute to look at the world around these tallies to get a sense of who might be speaking here. As I mentioned, in the security logbook, we know it's Mike based on the red pen and the signature at the front of the book. But what about Ruin? Well, in the baby plush room, we have obviously enough baby. Not that shocking. What's especially important to note here is that they're not all babies. See, half the plushies are normal baby and the other half are scrap baby. What's the big difference? Well, besides the obvious scrap metal plates on their bodies, there's one thing that alternates depending on version. Something that's been important to baby since the very beginning: her eye color. The regular baby plushies have blue eyes, while scrap baby has green eyes, showing the two sides of baby before and after Elizabeth's death and possession. But Reddit user Dylan Baby Jane took it one step further. They noticed that the eyes of the baby and scrap baby plushies were scratched out, leaving just the blue right eye from baby and the green left eye for scrap baby. That right there, that is a compelling detail because it directly matches up to the evil entity that we've been battling against throughout the entire game, the Mimic. See, in the story Tiger Rock, the Mimic AI program takes the form of the digital entity Tiger Rock. Tiger
That stupid ass tiger.
animatronic with a green left eye and a blue right eye. Is this confirming for us that the Mimic AI and Baby are somehow one and the same? Or maybe that the Mimic has two souls, or entities that it learned from, just like how Baby in the books is two children in one, Elizabeth and Charlie. Not really sure, but that right there, that is a massive revelation that feels super important in solving a mystery. Or at least it did until I dug a bit more and found out that the scrap Baby plushies also sometimes have their left eye missing. It is still a very cool, compelling connection that I'm not willing to fully discount yet, just not as consistent as I would have liked as far as evidence goes. Chair, meanwhile, looks like a
It had a
disappointed
little
child that
snake
took time out, forced
drawn
to
on the
face the water, and
hand
scratched away at the wall to count
to be the
hours or
claw.
days out of boredom. Since this is a room full of ghostly baby plushies, it stands to reason that the punished child here could have been Elizabeth. Obviously not physically here in this room of the Pizzaplex, but with the scene recreating a recurring moment from her past in some ghostly, spectral way. We know Afton wasn't really the greatest dad to her. Maybe this right here is a glimpse of his parenting style. As for the tally marks in Bonnie's green room, the font is the same, so they were likely carved by the same person. But honestly, that's where the similarities end. These marks appear in AR land, as opposed to babies, which are in the real world. This implies that whoever made Bonnie's marks either had the Fanny mask at some point, or is connected to the digital network that's running the Pizzaplex. Bonnie's marks are also higher up on the wall, as opposed to babies, which are at floor level, easily reachable by a small child. So then why these two rooms specifically? Well, a few things come to mind. If Baby is in fact connected in some way to the Mimic and or the neural network that runs the Pizzaplex, we can guess that Bonnie is too. When we deactivate the wet floor bots around the Pizzaplex, we also end up deactivating Bonnie. So that connection into the wider Pizzaplex interface may be important here. We also know that both Baby and Bonnie are quote-unquote missing from the Pizzaplex. Baby isn't supposed to be here, according to that AR description, and Bonnie was decommissioned from the complex. Again, they're obviously loose threads, but in a puzzle with no clear answer that somehow connects two very random, historically unrelated characters like Bonnie and Baby, every small detail here is absolutely worth considering. But that's more than enough talk about tally marks. Let me remind you of yet another numerical code that was just blatantly given to us by the devs that us as a community have been largely unable to solve. Remember those Mylar balloons that I was just freaking out about in Superstar Daycare? Well, they have themselves yet another appearance right here on the 8th hole of Security Breach
69.
Gator Golf arcade cabinet. On this Balloon Boy themed hole, we get this.
3192. That's suspicious.
A handful of numbered balloons. In reality, the number sequence is actually a lot longer. 6369553192. The fact that these are in Monte Gator Golf immediately made me wonder whether this code was the score they had to get in the game, except there are 10 numbers and only 9 holes. So when does simple math ever stop the internet? User 00core00 tried a number of different combinations to see whether they could activate anything. Sadly, nothing. Then Ruin released with a new Monte Gator Golf arcade cabinet, so people like Yusuf 0808 tried again using this exact same code and still wound up with nothing. Here's the thing though, both of these games have been data mined to heck and back. If this code was meant to unlock something inside of Monte Gator Golf, we'd have heard about it already, which leads me to believe that it's something actually outside of the game. Much like I suspected with the tally marks, it's not about activating some hidden ending, it's about giving us a code, a cipher, a phrase that'll tell us something about the wider world. We just haven't figured out how to use it yet. I've tried converting the letters, ciphers, you name it, just keep coming up empty-handed. One of our writers even suggested trying hex codes to see if there might be something there. At first it looked positive. The last 6 numbers actually produce a purple that matches the Aftons that we know and love so much, but it's not an exact match, nor does the first half of the numbers amount to anything meaningful. Maybe the fact that these are Mylar balloons connected to the multicolored Mylar balloons in the daycare, which then also connects them back to the tally mark puzzle, or maybe I'm just desperately looking for answers where there are no answers to be had. Now, for all of these lingering puzzles, I was able to find at least a couple of people discussing them online, in Discords, forums, Reddit posts, what have you. But for this last one, nothing, or at least practically nothing. I could find only 2 posts total, which is exactly why I wanted to raise some awareness about it here, because to me, this seems like a massive clue that largely got overlooked during the wave of reveals that happened throughout Ruin. Early on in the game, we got a chance to revisit the daycare attendant's room. This room is nothing new to a FNAF theorist. It was the one that we were able to unlock in Security Breach by photographing random characters throughout the game world. Inside of it, we were able to find the glitchy Balloon World arcade cabinet, a lost relic to a seemingly incomplete path inside the game. So when the room showed up again in Ruin, I wanted to pay extra attention. On the surface, the room seems largely the same, just a bit messier than before. Boxes of stuff, clothing hanging from the walls, and post-it notes scattered around. Then by putting on the Fanny mask, everything resets to normal. The room basically goes back to the way that it was, clear, more organized. Nothing all that noteworthy until, of course, you start talking about the notes. Those are worthy. All of a sudden, on a blank wall, we get ourselves a 3x3 grid of post-it notes. What is it with Steel Wool games and post-it note lore? I mean, if I had a nickel for every time Steel Wool used post-it notes to hint at lore, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. The 9 post-its that we're dealing with
Yeah,
are as follows. One
funny.
says groceries with butter written 3 times. There's a collection of dots, a scribble, footprints, hearts and pizza, lightning bolt, sun and hill, stars and a microphone, and a selection of candy. As usual, my first thought was to jump into a cipher. Immediately, you see how some of these post-its can relate to numbers. We have 2 feet, 4 stars, 7 dots, 3 butters, 3 lightning bolts. Felt like a really solid place to start, but obviously it wasn't gonna be perfect. We have a pizza post-it, but are we counting the 2 slices of pizza, the 4 hearts, or both? What about that squiggle? What's that stand for? Nothing. How about the hill in the sun? Is this meant to be FNAF 6's graveyard hill, so maybe we're counting gravestones? Or is this more likely counting the number of rays coming off the sun? Overall, converting the post-its to numbers wasn't really given a clean solution.
Well, the number of grass
From there, From there, when you look up how to solve 3x3 ciphers, the number one solution that pops up is the Hill cipher. Now, when it comes to codes, a Hill cipher is pretty darn complex, but overall, key to deciphering one is a matrix, table of numbers. And if you're using the English alphabet with its 26 letters, you're going to need yourself a 3x3 matrix, or let's just say a 3x3 grid of post-it notes. The numbers in the matrix represent the shifts that you're going to have to apply to each letter of the alphabet. To encode a message using a Hill cipher, you first convert the message into numbers. You can do this by assigning each letter of the alphabet a number from 0 to 25.
Do you actually get anywhere in this theory, or is this just a bunch of wild goose chase that you're gonna just end it off with a stupid merch plug and no answer, and then you're gonna be like, it's up to you to figure it out?
This message. Hello, how are you? With this matrix 321110201, my encoded message would look a little something like this. Not even gonna try. Like I said, it's a pretty complex way of encoding something, but let's be honest with ourselves, this FNAF ever not been complex. And after the wall code from security breach got broken in a day, Steel Wool was probably looking for something that's a bit harder, something with a bit more lasting power. So really, a Hill cipher seems to fit this new wall code nicely. There's just one problem. What exactly are we decoding? Sure, we have ourselves a rough matrix, so where's the number or letter sequence that we're trying to put through it? Some balloons, tally marks? I ran them both through a few variations of my own matrix. 3 for butters, 7 for dots, 2 for footprints, 4 hearts, etc., but ultimately I wound up with nothing to show for the whole thing. Again, it felt like we were getting close to a methodology, and I was just missing some crucial step in the process. So I tried a completely different approach. Rather than ciphers, did this collection of images mean something to me? The candy to me looked very similar to the drawings that we saw in the original post-it room from security breach. Same goes with the pizzas. The lightning bolts are designed similarly to the charging stations found throughout the pizzaplex, as well as the bolt of lightning on Glamrock Freddy's chest. Notice the flat tops on the lightning bolts, which makes them distinctly different from other lightning bolts that we've seen across the series, like the controlled shock button from Sister Location. The microphone and stars reminds me of Freddy in the Gang. This group of 7 dots, certainly vague, but the number 7 has shown up before in both FNAF VR and the post-it room of security breach. Usually it represents the 7 victims, 5 missing children, Charlie, the crying child. 7 dots, 7 graves. You've got the hill in the sun, which is reminiscent of the hill during the Afton and Princess Quest endings, and the butters were obvious references to Sister Location's exotic butter. Exotic butters. Overall, all the post-its seem to relate in at least a small tangential way to Michael Afton, and he really is becoming like his dad, always coming back to our theories. Reddit user Pikmin King X posted about these 9 drawings and drew all of them back to 2 very important games, Sister Location and Pizzeria Simulator. 2 games where we for sure play as Michael Afton. First, you have Candy that we spoke about. Well, in Pizzeria Simulator, Candy's all over the place. In advertisements from Wally's Lollies, gumball machines we can buy for the franchise, but the most important one of all, of course, is Candy Cadet, who actually winds up back in Ruin. The lightning bolts also relate back to FNAF 6, as they're identical to the power-up that you collect in the Fruity Maze minigame. Or, like I said, they can relate to the lightning bolt on Glamrock Freddy's chest. And animatronic, who many have theorized, myself included, has the soul of Michael Afton inside it. The stars and microphone call back to the 4 main Rockstar animatronics. Freddy, who holds the microphone along with Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. The Sunny Hill, well, that's the iconic FNAF 6 gravestone ending, with all 5 of the missing children plus Charlie put to rest on the hill. Along with that, he'd be familiar with the 7th victim, his younger brother, the crying child, so if that's what these 7 dots represent, he'd understand that symbolism. Mike also has a strong love of pizza, as in the security logbook, he literally says it's the only reason to apply for the job, with hearts on other pages that look similar to the ones that are on the post-its over here. Then there's the footprints. A true classic FNAF.
Wait, really? Wait, what the fuck?
Strong love of pizza, as in the security logbook, he literally says the only reason to apply for the job, with hearts on the other pages that look similar to the ones that are on the post-its over here. Then there's the footprints. In true
Not
classic
really.
FNAF theory fashion, Pikmin King X points out that these are 3-toed footprints, and they're almost identical to the ones that we see in the other FNAF 6 minigame, Midnight Motorist, where there are 2 3-toed footprints outside of a broken window, where Michael's either the escapee who broke out of that window, or the one sitting on the couch watching TV. The only thing unaccounted for here are the squiggly lines, but to me, that could just represent Ennard, or Tangle, or whatever robot spaghetti this franchise wants to throw at the wall at this point. Could this mean that Michael might in fact be alive, that he's living inside the Pizzaplex trying to finish the job that he started? Maybe that's the entire reason the Sister Location room exists in the Pizzaplex in the first place. Maybe it's him talking to the recreation of his younger brother. Maybe he learned the language of the mimic that his father used to communicate with the monster that killed his sister, like we predicted in a previous theory. All signs here point to Michael, or not. So let me be perfectly clear. This is broad speculation based on a piece of evidence that has clearly not been solved yet. And honestly, that's why I need your help. You've seen all the theory threads that I've been pulling, all the ciphers and interpretations that I've tried
Yep, here he goes
There
again.
are solutions out there for all of these puzzles. I am almost sure of that. But I need the collective hive mind of the FNAF community behind me to pitch out some solutions. The theorists of Reddit I called out today have done an amazing job getting the ball rolling. And I do truly believe that with a bit more time and a bit more focus, together we can solve these mysteries. Last time I did a theory like this, it was 5 years ago. But 48 hours later, you all had collectively discovered the name Cassidy hidden inside the security logbook. And now it is one of the most solid, concrete, important pieces of information that we've ever had for the lore of this franchise. Let's try to do that again here.
Yep, solid and concrete, definitely not a video trying to claim that Cassidy never existed.
I'm gonna keep a close eye on all this for the next couple of weeks. It'd be cool if we could manage to solve one of these things before the year's end. Who knows? Maybe help want a tool drop and solve everything for us, leaving the lore crystal clear with no further questions and no ciphers required. Yeah, okay, sure. I'm sure that's absolutely gonna happen with this
So this has been a jam
Until
of my
that day
fucking
comes,
time. We got literally not answers to anything. Not even answer to any simple question like how to kill the mimic. Because, as that one comment pointed out, he probably escaped because of that stupid suit. We don't gotta answer the bird trap, the blob. Hell, not even the daycare attendants have a method of death. Anyway, I'm gonna watch another stupid video just while we're here. Because it was genuinely pissing me off and it was funny. Genuinely pissing me off the amount of rules that they gave this that are just complete and utter bullshit.
We turn this circle into this other circle, where the purple and gold sides are reversed. Yes. There is something fundamental about curves that would have to change if you were to turn a circle inside out.
You just
And
making
that
shit
something
up.
cannot change
Fuck
under our
you.
allowed motions.
And what's that?
I'll explain. Imagine a monorail atop the wall. Now, the rule about monorail traffic is that the car only travels forward and it always keeps the purple wall on its right. We'll use a diagram to monitor the car's direction. On this track, the car is always turning left. As it goes around the circle once, it makes one full turn toward the left.
What
On
the
a more
fuck is this?
complicated track, the car might sometimes be turning left and sometimes right. But the net amount of turning after one complete circuit is always some number of full turns in one direction or the other. The number of full turns it makes toward the left is called the curve's turning number. For a curve where there is more turning toward the right than toward the left, the turning number is negative.
The fuck is the point of this?
Hey, and if there's no net turning, the turning number is 0.
Right.
I had a hard time following the net turning for this winding track.
That's natural. But there's another way to get the right answer.
The hell does
Find
this
the
have to
spots
do
where
with
you're
the
traveling in a
fucking
particular
topic?
direction, like due east.
Let's see. Since we're looking from the south, that would be wherever the monorail is going toward our right, where we see the purple wall face on.
Exactly. At some of these points, the track is curving away from us. Viewed from here, it looks like a smile. At these places, the car would be turning left. At others, the track looks like a frown. Curving toward us, at these points, the car would be turning right. The net number of full turns increases when the car passes a smile and decreases when it passes a frown. Starting at 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, and we finish with 3. The turning number is the number of smiles minus the number of frowns.
I see. The turning number measures happiness.
If you insist. Now, the nice thing about the turning number is that it remains the same when a curve changes according to our rules.
What the fuck is we getting to?
Frowns and smiles can appear or disappear, but only in pairs that balance out. The number of smiles minus the number of frowns never changes.
So a curve can only turn into another curve with the same turning number.
Right. The turning number is the fundamental property I mentioned before. Now, what's the turning number for the 2 circles?
This one has 1 smile and no frowns, so the turning number is 1. And if the gold is outside, 1 frown and no smiles, minus 1. It makes sense. On one curve, you're turning left all the time. On the other, it's the opposite.
What are we
Good.
getting at?
So the reason you cannot turn a circle inside out
Is that would change the turning number. But wait, doesn't the same argument prove that you can't turn a sphere inside out? This sphere has a 3-dimensional smile, and this one has a 3-dimensional frown. So they have different turning numbers.
Not quite. Your analogy is good, but to make it complete, we must look at a general surface and consider all the points where it is horizontal and gold is on top. We'll draw horizontal stripes to make these points easier to locate. Smiles are like bowls, curving up. Frowns are like domes, curving down. But there are other points where the surface is horizontal that are neither bowls nor domes. They are saddles and look like smiles from one direction and frowns from another. Near a bowl or a dome, the horizontal stripes form rings. Near a saddle, they form an X.
My
But how does that
fucking
change
brain.
anything? Spheres don't have saddles.
Ah, but the point is how these features interact. Look, a dome and a saddle can come together and cancel out. Likewise, a bowl and a saddle can cancel out. But bowls and domes, like electrical charges of the same sign, normally don't get near each other. The unchanging number for surfaces, then, is this.
I'm willing to believe
I don't know
that
why I'm
family members
watching
don't
this yet.
prevent
I
the
need to
sphere
go
from
back to
turning
the
inside
fucking
out if they do
map.
the circle.
Did you know? And has a bugged voice line that doesn't unlock for everyone when you interact with the secret area behind Bonnie Bowl.
Warning! Child in danger! Safety mode active. Little girl, you can't be in here. It's dangerous. I need to clean up before we can open in the morning. Oh, this place will be flooded with kids.
The hell?
Happy birthday!
Also,
What
I
the
can't
fuck's
confirm
this?
if this voice line is real though, since I haven't been able to get at the trigger for
So
myself
you
after
stupid
deactivating all
bitch.
the cleaning bots. Additionally, his glowing eyes turn off once you deactivate the remaining cleaning bots found around Glamrock Bonnie.
That was fucking Eclipse's voice line.
This holiday season, give the gifts they really want.
Frosted sugar cookie? No way.
Peppermint cookies and cream? This is exactly what I wanted.
Give joy this holiday season with Wawa's handcrafted holiday beverages. Gotta have a Wawa.
Check out these wireless waterproof earphones. Only $7.49 for TikTok Shop new users.
We finally know the truth about what happened to Glamrock Bonnie. Regrettably, we don't have the entire story locked in concrete, but there seems to be enough context clues now, along with one huge revelation that tells us so much. I made a video on the mystery of Bonnie. I discussed him in the Monty video. We've all wondered what happened, and now, because of Ruin,
Am I crazy?
we
Was
now
there
know
never
what
a Shadow
happened to
Bonnie
Glamrock Bonnie.
video?
We know where he is.
The fuck?
Let's begin
You
with the
stupid
reveal
dumb
of
bitch.
Glamrock Bonnie's design. In Security Breach, Bonnie had two different appearances. One on the sign for Bonnie Bowl, and another in a sketch drawing in an office instead of the simplistic bowling design. He's a soft blue, akin to Toy Bonnie, with a dark blue tufted hair between his ears. He wears a red spandex-looking bodysuit with purple stripes and a star and a lit-looking thing. Indeed, Bonnie looks ready for, admittedly major size, but it does fit in with the colorful glam 80s aesthetic. He looks just like a member of the band would. Weirdly enough, a hidden sign that will come into some significance later shows Bonnie with star-shaped shades that resemble Monty's. This mixed with the star sketch seems to suggest that at some time, Bonnie was the one with the star sunglasses, and they were passed on to Monty when he became the bassist. The reason Bonnie didn't have them in the dark ride simply could be to not confuse branding, as by the time the ride came out, the sunglasses might have been used to identify it as a Monty thing. This isn't entirely clear, but the signs are there, literally. Bonnie's design is shown off on his merchandise as well, which can be found only in Ruin. There's a Bonnie plush and a pinata. The pinata carries a neat detail where it reveals that Bonnie had his own kind of candy too, carrot drops, sort of like Sun and Moon, Sunny Drops, and Moon Drops, assumedly tasting like carrot cake. It's not known if any other characters had specifically made candy like them. Also, remember the damage on the pinata. It's notable. As I said and showed a moment ago, Glamrock Bonnie's cartoon design is shown on the cutouts in the Monty Gator ride. While Bonnie was all but erased from the Pizza Plus, his intrinsic role in Monty's story meant that he couldn't be taken out of it. Or perhaps it helped explain away why he was no longer here. Once upon a time, there was a young gator named Montgomery who lived in a swamp. He had musical aspirations, though, and created his own one-man jug band. Though he didn't play a jug, he played what I believe is supposed to be a homemade bass engraved with his initials. He looked up and admired the Glamrock animatronics and might have even went to their shows. One day, Monty met Bonnie, who gave him his bass. Roxy then styled his hair into its cool mohawk, he got his sunglasses, and he headed to the Pizza Place where he became the Monty Gator we know today. This story portrays Monty as more than just Bonnie's replacement, but the one chosen by Bonnie himself to pick up the mantle of bassist. That he was gifted the position and that he might have idolized Bonnie. Maybe, but I believe, like how Monty is advertised as shown in the merchandise, this wasn't the case when it came to the relationship between the two. So, Bonnie was part of the Pizza Plex until he was replaced by Monty. In Security Breach, we're cued into Freddie and Bonnie's close bond by how many times the bear brings him up, by the context clues of the bowling equipment out front and center in his green room, and a sad scene where upon taking Freddie to Bonnie's closed curtain, he somberly says that he misses him.
I do not come up here anymore. I miss him.
Displaying that he is actively grieving him. Ruin gives us a deeper look into that bond, and the result is possibly sadder than we imagined. And we find it inside of Bonnie's own green room. Bonnie's hidden green room is stashed behind his curtain and the wall that used to be there, and down a hidden passage. It's not nearly as impressive as the upper Glamrock's rooms, but that could be because it's been out of use for years. But it does have a star-shaped vanity like Chief Monty and Roxy's. On the vanity, Bonnie keeps a golden statue of Freddie and a Freddie plush. But the most significant thing in his room is a poster up on the wall which has been signed by Freddie. It reads, "You and me forever and ever. Love, Freddie." So
Wait, what the heck is the audio now?
maybe I'm reading too much into this.
this, but that wording mixed with Freddy's sorrow makes me think that maybe Freddy and Bonnie were a little closer than friends.
They're
Just the context of
robots.
that message is very you and me, forever and ever, together forever. Love Freddy. Forever and ever is likely a reference to the song Forever and Ever from the Security Breach teasers, but that doesn't change how
What is that coming from?
the word love is one that can be exchanged between friends, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think that friendship is what this is implying. And that would back up Freddy's prolonged grief. And the poster is being used to hide a secret vent into Blast. I'm not saying for certain that Freddy and Bonnie were in a relationship, but this definitely reads like one. And if that's the case, then that is so much worse, so much more tragic that Freddy lost him.
They're
And he did lose
robots
him. Bonnie was
with
replaced with Freddy.
AI.
Bonnie went missing. One night at the Pizzaplex, Bonnie was reported to have walked into the East Arcade and then a few hours later headed into Monty Golf, where he was last seen. This message alone is very questionable, as it indicates that Bonnie went to these locations and stayed there for hours without reporting what he was doing when he was there. They were also made by Vanessa, who we know was doing some shady stuff behind the scenes. The next known instance of the messages addressing Bonnie was someone saying that Monty was getting fitted with Bonnie's upgrades to play the bass to replace him, that he might become more popular. This leads me to believe that Monty's origin story in The Dark Ride might have just been set up to explain why Bonnie was replaced. Yet, even recently, kids have been asking about Bonnie, as one message states, and they neither made an attempt to rebrand the bowling alley nor replace his empty stage. Got their entertainment and their half efforts as usual. Now, this is initially where the story ended. Speculation about what happened to Glamrock Bonnie spread from the moment Freddy first brought him up after stepping out of daycare. That mixed with the strange nature of his disappearance, and that led to questioning. Bonnie was last seen entering Monty Golf. Did Monty destroy Bonnie? Was it Monty being controlled by Vanny? Was it so Vanny could use his body to create Burn Trap? What happened to Glamrock Bonnie?
And
Well,
what the
now
fuck
we know.
even is
And it's
Burn
one of the
Trap
most
anymore?
tragic outcomes. Bonnie's green room isn't the only thing we find hidden in Bonnie Bowl. Throughout the Pizzaplex, there are wet floor bots that Cassie can deactivate and ruin. There's one specifically in Bonnie Bowl that when you deactivate it, it opens a secret passage that leads into a hidden back room. And that is where we find him. Bonnie has been here the whole time, horribly broken, surrounded by wet floor bots, alone. Bonnie has sustained severe damage. His limbs are broken apart and his casing is cracked. He has a large gutted scratch across his chest and blunt force damage to his face, resembling the marks on the pinata. A broken bowling ball is lying in pieces on him. But it is on his chest where we see an undeniable telltale. Bonnie has those large gashes across his chest. Gashes you will be familiar with if you look at the damage done around Gator Golf, including to the golf ball shooters. There's also green paint residue left behind on the wound, paint transfer from whatever hit him in the chest. I've seen theories that the Mimic could have done this, but the Mimic was, as far as we know, always trapped underneath the Pizzaplex. It's said to have
What
been
is
trapped
making
for
that
a long time
sound?
specifically, and it's so desperate to get out that it's unlikely it would have gotten free and came up to the Pizzaplex, only to attack Bonnie and then retreated to, or was lured back to the basement. So I think the Mimic's out. There's also some speculation that the staff bots could have done this because they did similar damage to Glamrock Freddy, but Glamrock Freddy's damage was technically not done by the staff bots. See, the shattered design was reused for the disassembled endings, explaining why the staff bots pull Freddy apart, but he is shown with gutted damage, because originally, Freddy was going to be attacked by his bandmates, Chica, Roxy, and Monty. And this is where we come to an undeniable conclusion. The green paint transfer, the familiar damage, the utter strength it would take to do this to another animatronic, the death rolls that could have separated his limbs. Monty did it. Monty is the one who shattered Bonnie. But did he do it out of his own volition, or did Vanny make him do it? Vanny's security room, the one she uses at the top of Blast, is the bowling alley security room, and it is the room that the vent in Bonnie's room is connected to. Is it possible that she used Monty to get Bonnie out of the way? Well, yes, but I don't really think so. I think with how violent Monty is shown to be, borderline animalistic in ruin, and territorial by nature, that he might have just done it out of his own volition. And this is where I cut into my initial script and reveal that I think I figured out what really happened to Bonnie while I was making this video. And all it took to unravel the truth was noticing the bundle of wires sticking out under Bonnie's waist. Does Glamrock Bonnie's injuries look familiar? They should. I noticed when you look at Bonnie's belly that he is separated at the waist and his spinal cords are hanging loose. Exactly how Monty was broken in half when he fell off the catwalks. The damage on Bonnie's face is also nearly identical to the damage on Shattered Monty's. Other than the claw marks, he also has the same hole in his chest as Monty's as well. There is also this hidden cutout on the Monty Gator ride that shows a scared Glamrock Bonnie falling. Bonnie fell off the catwalks in Monty Golf. How was he even on the catwalks? While we're not 100% sure, we do have evidence that Bonnie might have been going through the vents somehow in his green room. From the vent hidden behind his poster. The sizing doesn't make sense, but perhaps he entered Monty Golf through the Mazer-sized vent. We know that initially in development of Security Breach, Monty's upgrade was going to be his powerful legs, allowing for him to jump super high, and that he likely inherited them from Bonnie. While this was scrapped, maybe that's still how Bonnie got up onto the catwalks? We aren't sure, but I am absolutely sure that Bonnie was struck in the chest by Monty Gator for some reason. Glamrock Bonnie then fell off the catwalks, got the same damage as Monty did, but he didn't get up. So how did he get back into Bonnie Bowl? I noticed that Bonnie's body is laying on a blanket. While it's unlikely that they were fighting on this random blanket, Monty possibly used a blanket to transport Bonnie here. People transporting bodies have been known to use blankets, tarps, drop cloths, whatever they have on them. Bonnie's limbs are also detached, possibly to make it easier to move him. Monty bundles him up, sneaks him out, and nobody sees Bonnie leave Monty Golf. Ergo, missing. That's why they weren't searching Bonnie Bowl for him. As far as they know, he was last seen in Monty Golf. Initially, I thought the fight broke out in here because of the damage on the wall, but if you look, the damage is circular, almost like a bowling ball slammed into it. The broken bowling ball laying on Bonnie didn't do the damage to him because it doesn't match. This damage was too exact to be done by that bowling ball that lines perfectly to the fall. All of this, is a setup. Monty staged the scene so it looked like Bonnie had a slip and fall and ended up damaging himself with a bowling ball. He broke the bowling ball and laid it on him. He was the one to bring in the motionless wet floor signs, and he was the one who laid Bonnie out here. He staged it to look like an accident. That's why, even though Bonnie has such severe, horrific damage, he's still completely lined up in place, as though he fell like that, when in reality, if something was tearing him up, he wouldn't be laid out like that. He'd be all over the place. But nobody would believe this, right? Of course they wouldn't. Because Monty isn't smart. You can hide, but you can't hide. He fell off the catwalks once, and he still hangs around up there. His multiple dumb mistakes. Ruin especially shows off how reckless Monty is and how he thinks before he acts. Pretty much throwing and damaging himself to get to Cassie numerous times. Trying to cover for himself, he thought this pitiful display would cover for him, unknowing that Fazbear Entertainment didn't even care. Now, did Monty mean to push Bonnie? That I don't know. Monty definitely sliced Bonnie, but it's unclear if he did it trying to scar and Mufasa him, or if he just got too angry and swung without thinking. And I don't think we'll ever know if this was an actual murder or just a dumb mistake. In the end, it's not going to change what happened. Because either way, Monty still did it, and then he covered it up. Out of anger or out of fear, Monty hit Bonnie, he fell off the catwalks, he got the same damage as Shattered Monty, and then Monty moved him to Bonnie Bowl and staged a slip and fall. It is a hilariously bad job, but that's Monty for you.
My initial conclusion with Monty was that he was acting like a gator, territorial and aggressive, and that still could be the case. In an interview, Monty's voice actor, Cameron Miller, claimed that Monty has this notice me senpai relationship with Freddy. Well, not in those words exactly. He said he admires him. This is never directly shown in game, but if it is the truth, then perhaps that was Monty's motive for getting Bonnie out of the way. Because it is clear that whether romantic or friendly, Freddy and Bonnie's bond was one stronger than even with his other bandmates. Torma eventually catches up with Monty in an unexpected way. While chasing Cassie, she has to reroute the power to get through a door and a flooded passage. This causes power to return to a neon sign, the neon Glamrock Bonnie sign I mentioned earlier. It short circuits and severely electrocutes Monty, who is still in the water. He sinks underneath, and that is the end. But even if Monty's temper finally caught up with him, if Bonnie caught up with him, that doesn't bring him back. It's really tragic. But that's not the most tragic thing here. Gone but not forgotten. Bonnie is forgotten, but not gone. When we find Bonnie, his eyes glow in the same yellow as the wet floor bots, the ones who are always watching. We only find him because deactivating a bot lets us come in and find him. And deactivating every single wet floor bot in Ruin causes Bonnie's eyes to go dim, him too deactivating with them. Bonnie is still alive. He is broken beyond repair, but he is still there, hidden behind the bowling alley, watching everything through those little robots, but unable to speak, unable to do anything or interact, just watch. Watching Freddy greeting him, watching Monty performing in his place, watching Gregory and then Cassie and Fanny and everything else, and being unable to do anything, being unable to even call out to someone to find him, unable to be found, sealed away. As the only reason Cassie finds him is because the ruined state of the Pizzaplex leaves the wall worn open for her. This entire time Bonnie has been back here, and it is through Cassie that he is finally released, which is even more tragic because if Gregory could have found him, or Freddy, or maybe someone else, maybe they
That
could have
reminds me,
or
what
even
the
just
hell?
his head. Maybe Bonnie could have still pulled through and still would have been able to find
If
out
all that
and
happened
not
is that the
But
glitch
due to
trap
him,
was killed,
he sat and he waited and waited. And
what
finally
is
someone
the
found him and found
deal
him.
with
It didn't have to
the
be like this, but it was.
ruins?
A fate that Bonnie
How
didn't deserve, but
long,
sadly received.
how
Of
long
all the somber moments
of a
with
gap
I still believe
between
that moment with
Security
Freddy,
Breach
that
and
one
Ruin
line,
is
I miss him,
this?
is one of the most
And
impactful
why
in
the
the
heck
entire
was the
series.
place falling
And yes, for
apart
a split
anyway?
second, like, it means so much. You can feel it. You don't
It's
need
not
to
like
explain it to
someone
understand the
had
weight of it.
actively
And now,
burnt
this
down the
follow-up
place
life
like in
only
all
has
the
5
other
years. This scene,
games.
the after effects and the full picture of what Bonnie is still going through. Ruin had a few somber moments, but this silent one, where you find Bonnie and you realize what has happened to him, it is impressive. I might get on a fnaf about its storytelling, but this was done excellently. And save Freddy's line, it was all done through context clues. Of all the ways Glamrock Bonnie's story could have ended, this is the
What
most
was I
far-reaching.
saying? Oh yeah.
But it's fantastic.
Not even
Now
in the
back to
burn
it.
trap ending
Rest
did
in
it
peace,
make
Bonnie.
sense. All he
We know
did
that
was
Freddy still
burn him a
thinks about
few
you.
times. I have to imagine it was the blobs doing of completely ripping apart fucking everything.
Check out Temu's Black
Fuck.
Friday sale.
A second glance at, if not you guys suggesting I did.
My theory before this video plays, my theory is still that Marionette is a antivirus created to stop Glitch Trap that was in Help Wanted.
So maybe I missed out on my first time discussing them. And by that I mean, if
And
we're going
tries
to
to
get
take over the
here, I
Pizzaplex.
have addressed this character before. A long time ago when I first started doing history videos for the animatronics, I did one on the puppet that is surely rambly, outdated, and yeah, maybe don't watch it. I might need to redo that one. And no doubt bring up my crime child conspiracy theory, but that's for another time. You know the puppet, right? The puppet is an animatronic introduced into FNAF 2 and reoccurring throughout the series. They are usually stationed in the prize corner where they give out prizes, but they are also a different kind of gift giver, as in FNAF 2 it is revealed that they are the ones who put the bodies of the children into the animatronics and cause them to become possessed. They also have been shown leading the animatronics and trying to protect them, and in Ultimate Custom Night directly says they are the protector of the animatronics. And I say it because the actual animatronic character is male. The dead kid in it is female. And so when I call it a he, I get about maybe 2 comments correcting me. And I assure you, my unwavering insistence on this whole he-she thing has nothing to do with my crime child conspiracy theory. So the character we're talking about today is intrinsically intertwined with the puppet as they originated as the nightmare variation of them. Like Freddy has Nightmare Freddy, Fredbear has Fredbear and Nightmare, and the puppet has a Nightmarian, a licorice-armed, sharp-toothed, nightmarish monster who might be an illusion, might be a hallucination, and is definitely not a security breach. I'm gonna let that simmer and move on. Addressing Nightmarian is a little complicated since it is not a traditional animatronic. The Nightmarian is a non-canon Halloween update exclusive nightmare animatronic either dreamed up or hallucinated by the main character of FNAF 4, but only maybe because, as I said, it comes in a non-canon Halloween update and not the main game. To put it in perspective, the other animatronics introduced alongside it were the Jacko animatronics, Jacko, Chica, and Bonnie, and Nightmare Mangle, that animatronic who I keep forgetting exists. And it may feel like I'm going on about this a lot, but I'm actually setting up for a point later. But before I do that, let me actually dive into the history of Nightmarian. Nightmarian is the final boss of FNAF 4. That is, it is the final boss of the Halloween update, replacing Nightmare, who was the original final boss, technically. Like Jacko, Bonnie, and Chica replacing Bonnie and Chica, and Nightmare Mangle replacing Foxy. It pretty much acts identical to Fredbear and Nightmare. It's just an additional design. It even has the same jump scare, just with its close-up instead of Nightmares. Story-wise, there is no story to why Nightmarian is there. After all, Jacko, Chica, and Bonnie don't have any lore relevance, and the Halloween update didn't give any extra cutscenes or anything. No voice lines either at the time. So there's not much to say on this fella's first appearance. Interesting fact, but Nightmarian's teaser had a hidden source code entitled "Don't Wake the Baby," which was a reference to Markiplier, referring to the puppet as the baby. I mean, he really is kind of a baby, isn't he? Yeah, my baby. Jokes aside, unless I'm wrong, I think this is the first example of a FNAF game having a major homage or reference to any YouTubers in it, which I find pretty neat. So that That was Nightmarian's first appearance. After this point, it went AWOL until it returned in Ultimate Custom Night alongside Nightmare Bonnie and Nightmare Mangle and some others. Now, Nightmarian is a tricky one, but honestly, one of the animatronics who I find the easiest to figure out. Basically, he slowly appears in the office and you have to look away before he fully forms, or at least get your mouse off of him. All you have to do is keep moving, so he's only really a problem if you get distracted or forget that he's there. Marionette, no, Nightmarian is also given a voice. Let's take a listen to his voice lines. These seem to all be referencing the nightmares and deaths and fear. Now, I've seen some interest in that last line, a fearful reflection of what you have created. A lot of folks have varying takes on what this line means. I think it's straight up a reference to Afton and the puppet. I am a fearful reflection of what you have created. It's a nightmarish version of the puppet who was possessed because William killed them. Of course, that could also apply to all of the nightmares. Most of them have lines like this, basically saying, "You created me, and now we're here to torment you forever, you monster."
I am given flesh to be your tormentor.
The Nightmarian's gameplay is unique, and their voice is cool. It's somewhat similar to the other nightmares, but again, story-wise, nothing too impressive here. By which I mean nothing really here. And that's not me trying to be a contrarian, just realistically, Ultimate Custom Night was not about any one specific animatronic. It sort of played as an epilogue, kind of, but the dialogue and voice lines were more flavor text and lore condiments to season the goods. So what was next for the Nightmarian? Well, like many animatronics, Nightmarian got his own level and help wanted. Yeah, I know, he did and the puppet didn't. Yeah, crime against nature. But all jokes aside, Nightmarian was one of the animatronics who was moderately improved and utilized by help wanted. That is, Nightmarian's level isn't the most impressive thing gameplay-wise, but movement animations and the wiggly tickle fingers added a bit more to an animatronic who could use it. Basically, you're holed up in the FNAF 4 bedroom and Nightmarian is trying to get in. He comes down the hallways and you have to shut the doors on him. He also sneaks in his wiggly tickle fingers through the closet, down through the giant hole in the ceiling, and under the bed, during which you have to drive him off with a flashlight. But don't worry about missing these because the tentacles make this sound. The only way I could put it is if, like, you flailed your hands around in a bowl of loud jelly, if that makes any sense. It's one of those noises that
Not the
exactly
fast goo.
Uh-oh, looks like something's crawling through the hole again. Time to move, the hole's getting bigger. In any case, that's Nightmarian. He gets an action figure too, but that's kind of it.
Fuck.
That's Nightmarian. He gets an action figure too, but that's kind of it. So, up until this point, Nightmarian has pretty much been a relatively solid background character who only kind of stands out, but that's pretty much because a lot of the nightmares blend together. Yeah, I know we don't really want to say that, but they kind of do, the twisted ones too. They're all kind of samey. So in that vein, Nightmarian stands out as unique. Or perhaps I'm just saying that because I like the design. Again, he's never had a big role. Like I mentioned a few seconds ago, he did get a buildable action figure, and it's pretty neat. Not even the puppet got that, but no huge story role. Then Security Breach came out, and he still doesn't have a big role, but suddenly his face is plastered all over the place. Sort of like Freddy pre-Security Breach, but at least he occasionally showed up, am I right? So let me start with how many Nightmarian references are in Security Breach. Firstly, there's quite a few plushies of him sprinkled around, and he's not the only character who gets this treatment, but he does get the most, with the puppet only having 2 plushies in the game, and the plush babies appearing in a room. I actually got confirmation that plush baby room does exist. There's other characters too, but I'm not going to go through right now. But the Nightmarian plushies are all over the place. Well, there's at least 3 of them, and sometimes they're hidden inconspicuously. This happens again in Ruin 2. When I was first starting my Ruin playthrough, the footage I never used because it was super zoomed out, I ended up accidentally stumbling upon a Nightmarian plush peeking out at me at the beginning of the game after that cart flies down. If you turn around immediately, there's one sitting there. Did that just... No. Oh. Why, hello there. Look. Little Nightmarian. Such interesting lore. I wonder what his backstory is. That's Deja Vu Freddy's reference. Now, the one in the base game that you collect is labeled Nightmare Plushie instead of Nightmarian. Some folks recently have taken this to mean that Nightmare and Nightmarian are the same character, but I don't know. I think it was either a typo or a letter limit issue. And if you don't think FNAF can't have typos, in Ruin, when Shattered Sun sings, you can hear him sing Spilled Tempers, but the subtitles say Spilled Tempura. And in this case, it's clearly Spilled Tempers, because temper tantrums in daycare makes more sense than Sun casually discussing how he can't get his breading to stick to his shrimp. I know that Ruin also labels it as Nightmare, but I'm still not entirely convinced. Like, maybe it's supposed to be a Nightmare character, as Nightmarian is Nightmare Puppet. I don't know. I don't think one discrete line is enough to say that they're one and the same. I don't think we can go on them having the same gameplay because they're like reskins. One is a reskin of the other. Jacko Bonnie, Bonnie, Jacko Chica Chica. We'd have to be saying that those two are also the same characters. And maybe that would make sense. Maybe the illusion on the outside is just switching around. But that would be confirming that the Halloween animatronics are just changed illusions on the same body. But then why would Nightmarian be important? Wouldn't Nightmare be the important one? Why just choose the other design? Especially since their body structure is so different. My point being that I would currently take this with a grain of salt. As though this wasn't salty enough, of course. So that's pretty much the deal with the plushies. But wait, there's more. In the server room under Faster Blast, there are some striped wires, and in the arcade, there's some striped lights that sort of look like wires. I'll get back to those in a hot second. More importantly, there's a dumping ground in the basement of the Pizzaplex. Yes, Fazbear Entertainment is apparently too cheap to actually get someone to take the garbage out, so they dump it in their basement. This is why they've got this whole rat infestation problem. Along with plenty of old staff pots littering the place, some of which look barely damaged. Some of them have faces drawn on them. By who? Probably Vanny. And these faces look like Nightmarian, and on their bodies is written, "In your dreams," a reference to Nightmarian or the nightmares. Why? Well, the popular theory that is out now and is why I was requested to make this video is because the truth is, Nightmarian is actually in Security Breach. Yes, he's been pulling the strings the whole time. Not Vanny, or maybe Vanny, or certainly not the puppet, but the Nightmarian. No longer just a side character from a Halloween update, he was assumedly brought to life during whatever happened in Ultimate Custom Night and Help Wanted, and uploaded into the Pizzaplex where he now lies in wait, controlling all of the systems inside of it. Except for one problem. He's not there. like physically in the game, in the location, not shown, not even mentioned, no indication that he's really there patrolling the pizza place. And if he is, he's doing a really lousy job. No implications that he's really glitch trapped, nothing. All these little references that have been picked up to indicate that he's actually there fuel this idea that he's there and that he means something. But the problem is that he's just not. You don't get any notes on him. You just have to pretend. Assume he's there. Look, there's only one omnipotent, all-seeing man who can cast judgment on people and is believed to exist even without anyone physically seeing him. And Nightmarion is no Santa Claus. Because, I love the puppet, but you know what I don't love? Being told the puppet's in security breach and being like, well, he's not in the prize counter, better keep looking. And yes, I've heard the puppet and Nightmarion are in security breach thing interchangeably. It's a really neat headcanon, admittedly. I would have loved to have seen it. Except, instead, I've got mislabeled merch and poorly recycled hardware with his face plastered on them. And I'm about to be especially petty because one of the points of evidence that I've heard from maybe only one person, so I'm guessing that it might have just been a one-person thing, is that there's a connection through Gregory. That Gregory is a reincarnation of the crying child because he looks like him. He does. Gregory does look like the crying child. And the crying child was the one who the Nightmarion tormented. Oh, except, wait. Two things. First of all, glad to see a Halloween skin get such a boost of importance. He actually replaced another character entirely. More importantly, and here's one of my pillars of salt that holds up this rather feeble argument, apparently recently the books have confirmed that the crying child wasn't even the character we play as in FNAF 4, as though they couldn't take anything else from him, I suppose. And I know what you're going to say. Naughty name. You say the Tales books aren't reliable ways to take in lore. And I still do. Needn't I remind you that the most more important relevant stories in the series is the one with the virtual anime waifus? No, I am not kidding. That's the only book where DJ Music Man shows up, where they go into the basement, where the daycare attendant shows up. Yeah, that's technically the most security breach book. And it has the anime girls with the plump chests who are shoving hot dogs in their mouths. And you may think I'm rambling, but believe me, I'm getting somewhere, and that somewhere is this. The books say a lot of things, and I don't equate them to the games unless they show up there. And Nightmarion isn't here. He's not even in the books. Belief is a funny thing. Like, you can believe something wholeheartedly, and I'm not going to fault you on that, but that doesn't mean something is what it is. Now, maybe someday it will be, but not right now. And that's as someone who does believe that fan reception affects the games. You can't tell me that Roxy's redemption was planned from the beginning. Which means, dear viewers, if Marionette, nope, again, Nightmarion, shows up in Security Breach 2 and the puppet doesn't, I'm blaming you personally. And I'll blame myself for not advocating harder. Okay, so the last 10 minutes were exaggerated and hyperbolic, I'll admit. I don't feel that strongly about any of this, but I do mean what I say, and I say that there's a lot of Nightmarion merch all over the place, but I see no Nightmarion, so I'm not going to act like he's there. The problem with Security Breach is, and still is, that the story was not finished. Ruin was a step forward to get past Security Breach, but Security Breach, yeah, still empty. And I know theories like this, at their core, are neat ideas trying to fill in that gap, but time to move, the hole's getting bigger. But if the Nightmarion isn't here, then why all the references? Well, I'll get into that in a minute because I have an idea why, but first I'd like to bring up something someone mentioned in a hot take that was submitted and that I brought up in a video. Basically, they asked what the importance of Nightmarion is. Does someone in Steel Wool really like him, or is he vital to the story? And I just want to throw out there that, yeah, it could be very likely that someone just really likes Nightmarion, so they're adding in references to him. Like a running theme, but
That's
it's not
stupid as
specifically
hell.
saying he's here because he's a major character, you know? Because that could be the case. Maybe it doesn't have to mean something greater.
You don't do
We're
that
trained to
shit
watch FNAF
in
like clockwork
FNAF.
loose. But if you look back, we've had reoccurring jokes and characters who weren't some hint to the greater story. So, again, possibly. But now on to the references. Let's say Nightmarion is being primed to be reintroduced into the series as a major character. Well, I'm not a theorist. Or maybe I am. But I'm going to go out of my way to speculate on some ways Nightmarion might be brought in the future, or was supposed to be brought in. But instead of doing it how I usually do in a way that I personally would see it working with the story, I'm going to try to use Security Breach, Ruin, and the Tales books and deduce what is the most likely plot twist it would use. Plot twist number 1, Nightmarion is the Mimic. That is, the Mimic was the endo that Afton used to mimic the Nightmarion with fear gas and illusion discs. He just only did it in the non-canon Halloween version. He just dragged some poor sap down to Afton Robotics' anal retentive rental to celebrate Halloween by throwing the Mimic at him disguised as Nightmarion. And Mimic went through like a significant Nightmarion phase, and that's why he planted Nightmarion stuff all over the Pizzaplex. But then he started to stand Afton instead and then became a furry, his persona being Jerry the Jersey Lion. The Nightmarion stuff is just left over from his edgy phase, when he wore a lot of black and stripes. Still has that hair flip though. Plot twist 2, the Nexus Spade the Nightmare is real. And that is real in a sort of loose sense. The term. Basically turning them from hallucinations to actual
I don't even know why I'm
like
watching this anymore, like on stream.
creatures, but also save them in his database
Because
and
I'm not
eventually
saying
that
anything.
Mimic or Nexus, and then they use the Vanning Mask to recreate illusions of these nightmares. Why is Nightmarion in Security Breach? Well, that's foreshadowing. Plot twist 3, which is the most likely other than the possibility that it was just added because he's a light character thing. Nightmarion was actually supposed to be in Security Breach. So, like, a lot was cut from Security Breach. I've said this plenty of times. Full missions, the whole Shattered Freddy segment, Beta Burntrap, all of Burntrap's dialogue, Vanessa's dialogue, and the side missions, Vanessa, Vanny, the Vanny meter, the challenge mode, the ability to do something with clothes, the crash coins and the suspicious coin slots, like in Monty's back. So much of the game was cut. Yeah, Nightmarion could have easily been cut too. It doesn't explain why he's here. Maybe there was an unfinished Glamrock puppet who looked like Nightmarion, and that would explain the connection. Well, he's gone now.
That makes no
Like,
damn sense either.
but the thing is,
Why would they make
be
that?
really weird to drag up Nightmarion and not the puppet. And I'm not just saying that as someone who's a puppet fan. I would think that would be really odd. Like if we brought in Freddy Frostbear as a major character, or Swamp BB after BB has stopped being used. What a weird possibility. And maybe Nightmarion has been upgraded, but still, what an odd choice. But I feel like he'd be more like the ghost of Jacob Marley, weighed down by so many chains that he couldn't exactly bring much to the table except a reminder of the story that FNAF is trying to move past. The Ghost of Christmas Past, not the one who was part of the main story, but a reflection of them. Complete disclosure, I am mostly saying this because I feel like the only way Nightmarion would be brought back is by saying that he's the Mimic. I am not kidding. Look, I have slightly started warming up to the Mimic, if only because I concocted this headcanon about him being a pitiful cosplayer who really thinks this looks like Gregory. I'm not just saying this as a I don't like Mimic thing. I say this as a I really hated Eleanor thing. In case you don't know, Eleanor, the main villain from the Fast Fright series, basically had the same gimmick as Mimic, save that she used illusion discs really grinded my gears was that how the books made her the big bad was not through build-up, but by in one story saying that a bunch of the animatronics, dolls, and other random characters from the stories were really her in disguise, even when they didn't make any sense. She was a body snatcher, but also she snuck into hospitals to do surgeries on random people, and she sat outside a woman's window until she crawled into a vent and died. It wouldn't make Mimic better, it'll just make every character who's retconned into being him worse. Plus, it'll sort of invalidate Nightmarian as a character. He'll have his Wikipedia stripped, and it'll just be another picture of another form attached to Mimic, Witch Trap, Burn Trap, Ruin Born, Bunny Mans. Dirty pool, mister. Dirty pool. Will we see Nightmarian again? Well, probably.
The Mimic isn't fucking Burn Trap. I haven't seen anyone prove that.
I'm sort of expecting them to help wanted to, but will Nightmarian himself reappear? We'll see. Will he be a major character? We'll see. And I know what you're thinking. This whole video was very strange. And yeah, it was. Considering that I've talked about Nightmarian before and there's not too much to talk about him, I had to spice it up a little bit. And I always have plenty of salt on hand. Anyways, thank you for watching. I really, really hope that...
Okay, so here's why this doesn't work and why... Well, like, I don't know. Because the thing is, Nightmarion was originally supposed to be non-canon. Until they made it canon for no reason. And William Afton, and his first canon appearance was in Ultimate Custom Night, which is Afton's personal hell, or Michael's if you're a stupid skeptic and an idiot. But it's Afton's, and I don't want to hear anyone say it's not. It was said pretty much verbatim in one of the books that Afton is tortured in a personal hell by a vengeful spirit possessing Golden Freddy or something. It wasn't specifically Golden Freddy, but the Stitch Wraith. Nightmarion, there, and then he appears in VR, in FNAF VR, which means either he has to be some sort of virus, or he has to be based on a true story during the rumor phase of the FNAF phase. But here's the thing. If Nightmarion appears in Afton's personal hell, then that would have meant that it was Afton's nightmare. And why the fuck would the serial killer himself start telling campfire stories about things going around in Freddy's? He wouldn't say anything. But Afton's probably disappeared off of the face of the planet. Other than when he decides to kill. But as a public figure, he's never going to show up. Except that one time as a security guard, which wasn't supposed to happen. But anyway. So it either has to be a virus or nightmare. Either way, it's something that can haunt both Afton and a video game. And it can haunt the Pizzaplex too, because it's an electronic. Anyway. I don't know what the fuck else. I could have sworn Shadow Bonnie actually got added. Where's the shadows? Bitch, where's the shadow bitches? Shadow bitches, shadow bitches. Where the fuck is that video? Where the fuck are them shadows at?
Unwrap a little
Shut
holiday
up.
spirit with Kinder Bueno Mint.
Turmeric soap bar has a bunch of benefits. You can find it on TikTok Shop. Check it out now.
What if I told you all of the new FNAF Ruin endings are actually fake? Using all of the in-game files and hidden lore details is what's going to tell us the truth regarding the secret way the game is supposed to end. So let's start with just that, correcting
There it
version
is.
3. If you've played through this DLC before, you'd recognize these as the scooper ending, neutral or elevator ending, and Brazil ending listed in our files. If the Brazil aspect is good, and help with that.
Brazil.
This is the one that sticks out as the more obvious lie, as the in-game files are responsible for revealing the truth about it. This ending is unlocked by taking the left path and ignoring Gregory's instructions in the chase, only to be faced with a dead end, in which we put on the day map. This cutscene depicting Gregory, Vanessa, and helping on a hill. This is where our Brazil aspect comes into play. Brazil is a movie in which the main character basically goes crazy and retreats into a fantasy world as a sort of last resort. And notice how in this chase scene, Cassie is met with the same last resort. She's cornered, and as the player we have boys, with the
Also, Brazil is the funny.
everything we see depicted is sort of
It's the funny country that doesn't exist.
Brazil is set up. This is not a happy ending. This is in fact the worst one.
They're going to Brazil.
You must also call the secret fourth ending string into attention, because this, while found in files, is fake too. You see, the ending I see spammed everywhere as what's meant to connect to the secret string from the files is the ending in which, as Cassie, you simply turn around in the opening scene and leave the pizza place, choosing not to help Gregory. But this ending is fake. See, the only way to actually do this, to my knowledge, is by hacking, because there aren't any actual files that are associated with the string that would allow you to simply walk out of the pizza place. It would have been listed alongside the string and it's simply business. So this ending, along with the rest, is additionally fake. But don't worry, because the secret fourth string is going to play for later on. Our scooper ending, on the other hand, is the one that was linked to additional file findings labeled stuffing ending, the one in which we locate all the secret doors on our cams to unlock an alternate escape route while the mimic chases us, but this time in a line costume. For starters, the stuffing and scooping elements serve as a clear reference to Sister Location's ending with the scooper, in which the player, Michael Afton, essentially gets scooped. In this game, the scooper ending was known as the true canon one, the one that we'd essentially need in order to interpret future games. But in the case of Ruin, we also have the implication of the stuffing aspect, accompanied by the same in-game button asset we physically used to scoop the mimic in this ending, telling us it's possible what we see happen here wasn't originally meant to happen this way at all. And in addition, it can't be the true one that sets up the arguments following Ruin. This mascot costume was potentially meant to serve a different goal entirely, and it connects to the very hidden assets we're able to see by digging into the files, or just by looking right here. I'm referring to the extra off to the side mascot costumes, of course, specifically in the form of an elephant and a penguin thing, and the fact that they just kind of sit there. Assuming our line costume could have also been a sort of extra asset on standby, who's to say we weren't originally meant to stuff the mimic into the amalgamated mascot itself? The details of the death and setup of the scene in this way ended up being too complicated. It definitely feels a bit off the way it just kind of spawns in because we live. But again, this isn't the main canon one we need, which is, well, what if there were multiple? The first, involving the most shocking scene of the whole DLC, a betrayal from a character meant to be our friend. We listen to all of Gregory's instructions throughout the mimic chase sequence, and we end up in an elevator finally on our way out of the abandoned pizza place. All until Gregory pops up onto the elevator speaker to let us know the risk of him being followed is too great for him to actually let us up, so we're dropped to our doom. Only we weren't. You see, this ending specifically sticks out as one of the main important ones due to actually calling out to us at the very end. We survived this fall. Analyzing the exact positioning of our protagonist after the elevator drops tells us she's scientifically in the best possible spot to spread the impact of the fall and protect all her vital organs. In addition, Gregory wasn't even the one who dropped us. Despite him saying, "I'm sorry" before the drop, this ending is a lie too. The truth is uncovered when comparing the exact motive and capabilities of both Gregory and Mimic, as these are the two main suspects during this fall sequence. For starters, digging into our files tells us this isn't the bad ending. It's known as the neutral one. The bad aspect would have resulted in our protagonist's close friend turning his back on us, causing our final moments to be in shock. But the neutral aspect, as is literally shown in the files, would have resulted in a highly advanced tech known as the Mimic, deciding to control the elevator shaft in order to ensure we were unable to escape him, causing us to fall, while additionally buying us time to come up with an escape plan after he mimics Roxy's voice at the very end. It's meant to be a continuation of further events, explaining why it wouldn't be labeled a bad ending rather than a neutral one. I'm sure you've heard the screeching interruption noise that occurs right before Gregory switches his tone and causes the small to happen. This noise is intentional. In terms of capabilities, the Mimic is able to control and influence technology within a certain radius of it with ease, while Gregory, on the other hand, spends essentially the entire game just trying to send us a message. It doesn't make sense that Gregory would come out on top here while he tells us he literally isn't even in the Pizzaplex in the first place. A commenter, Master Bond 9, reveals to us the mechanics of this very fall don't make sense, as the normally installed safety features on this elevator, including backup brakes, would all be in place unless the elevator cords were simply cut physically. So assuming this is the case, we know endoskeletons such as the Mimic have been shown as capable of climbing before. We know the Mimic is able to showcase his brute force that he required to pull this off. And furthermore, that Gregory, before he's interrupted and cut off on the elevator speaker, that is, tells us he isn't here. The only thing holding the Mimic back before was the security system. Capability-wise, Gregory just doesn't add up with the wire cut or outside control of the elevator if we're throwing all the safety mechanisms out the window for this scenario. This same capability of brute force and being able to climb is exactly why this elevator isn't even the only way for the Mimic to escape. Meaning destroying Cassie's way up has no effect on the Mimic's plan if it's able to simply come up the alternate way we actually came in the first place. Gregory, however, tells us on the mic to get to the elevator. He's the one specifically guiding us away from the Mimic to find the escape. Assuming he dropped us, he basically gives us these directions for absolutely no reason. If he was truly betraying us, what sense would it make for him to kill us with hope by helping us just to randomly change his mind last second? Gregory may not be the best person here, but he definitely isn't pure evil like this. You know, the physical voice lines in this elevator portion are labeled Gregory in the files rather than Grimmick, the very combination between the two characters that lets us know that the Mimic is tricking us by pretending to be Gregory. But with data miners scraping this whole game, what sense would it make for developers to outright reveal the Mimic was involved by labeling these elevator lines Grimmick as well? It would spoil the surprise for events following through, and those same following events are what ties me back to the most important detail. I truly believe this fourth string isn't representative of a potential escape ending because it better correlates with the ending built off of clues already left in the official DLC. It's something I brought up known as the fixed animatronics ending, and I think this, along with the true elevator ending with the Mimic, rather than Gregory, are the true endings that are meant to connect with future events in the FNAF universe. Sure, we deal with the destruction of some animatronics along the way, but the detail of Monty's legs and Chica's voice box physically gives me hope for a future update or even new DLC that's going to play off this concept in the events that occur after the elevator drop. But this is where we get to how exactly this key secret ending is meant to play out, because it turns out we're given key elements that reveal everything. So for my full deep dive on it, make sure to check it out.
Okay, so stupid dumb bullshit.
Simplicity from a credit card. That's unexpected.
So I recently asked for suggestions on video.
Gosh, fucking Okay.